Hey, welcome everybody. As you can tell, I threw that little thing at the end there, that little non sequitur show promo. That was one of our very old ones that had Ken Hovind in it. The reason I showed that was one, to of course promote the non sequitur show, and two, Ken Hovind just had a debate with Destiny on Modern Day Debates channel with James and Shannon Q hosting that. I haven't watched it yet, no spoilers, but let me guess. Hovind was an idiot. Destiny kicked his ass. Blah blah blah. Kynes. Blah blah blah. Evolution bad. Blah blah blah. Going to hell. Is that pretty much the gist of it? Because I can tell you what, you can literally go to any Ken Hovind debate that he's ever had for the last 40 years, soundbite something out of it, and just give it a response, and basically it'll be applicable. I do got people coming in here right now. I didn't get anybody in here before. I was making myself a drink because that was more important than getting you in here. But I will let you in as you come in here. And you can join. It is Rum and Coke Day, not Rum and Coke Night, because it is my time, and we go by my time on this show. We go by Eastern on Non Sequitur show. I am having some more of my famous spice rum. Yeah, I had to forget what it was. See, I haven't even started yet. I'm already forgetting what I'm drinking. How do you like that? So anyways, this edition, obviously, I want to talk about the Atheist Community of Austin and how they unceremoniously threw Rationality Rules under the bus. There's been a lot of discontent over it. A lot of people just lambasting the. We got some. You gotta mute the video there, bud. So a lot of people were lambasting the ACA for basically not even really going to RR and talking to them. Although from my understanding, and as you guys come in, maybe you guys can fill me in more of the details. But from my understanding, when Rationality Rules was at Faithless Forum, they had talked to him and they had asked him about his video, and we'll get into the details of that for the people that don't know, and we'll watch this later. But he said that he was going to change some things, and they seemed fine with it. As soon as he flew back to England, they just denounced him. They censured him and threw him out of the bus and just said, you know what, we're breaking all ties with him. He's, had some transphobic comments. I don't think by their statement they literally came out and said he was transphobic, but they certainly implied it. And it was basically what I felt to be stabbing him in the back. Now, Rationality Rules I consider to be a friend for all practical purposes. I mean, I don't know him that well. We talk frequently. And we talk mostly on Twitter on just private communication on philosophy stuff, but I never really, I don't really have that much interactions with him, probably because he doesn't have a lot of time. But what happened was, if you guys want the details, I'm not familiar with the situation. I sound like Brett Keane there for a second. The situation. Rationality Rules decided to make a video, and the video he decided to make was based upon trans people in sports. And some of the people thought that some of the information he put in there was incorrect from a scientific perspective. And that might be some valid reasoning there, okay? He might have got some things incorrect. Fair enough. But even if that was the case, that doesn't make him a transphobe. And people are from the regressive left-wing parties are out there just crying for blood. They're like, this guy is transphobic. He's clearly not. Any rational person could watch this video, or anybody who knows who he is, can clearly see this guy is not transphobic or bigoted in any way, shape, or form. And to call him such is just disingenuous. It is absolutely the pinnacle of, hey, we don't want to have your conversation. We don't want to discuss what you want to discuss. We don't want to address your argument. Therefore, we're going to censor you, not censor, but censor you, and throw you under the bus and not have you part of the community any longer, right? You've been excommunicated. You guys haven't watched it yet. Go watch Pine's videos on this. Pine Creek. Pine Creek did a brilliant video on this. About how Rationality Rules has transgressed the orthodox code of atheism by being a heretic. And what's funny is I've actually said this prior. I actually said the new term for heretic in the atheist community is, the equivalency is transphobe, right? So if you don't toe the party line, they're going to call you transphobe, homophobe, bigot, right? When clearly people are not. I mean, at least in our little communities. If they are, now I'm not saying they're not real transphobes out there, not real homophobes and real bigots. We deal with those, right? We address those actual transphobes. We go after them and shut them down by verbal assault, right? We go out there and explain to people why their arguments are crap. But for somebody that is a well recognized, probably one of the most layperson, philosophically literate persons I've ever met in my entire life, Rationality Rules. For them to treat him like that was, I think, so absurdly the wrong thing to do And I'm in the 6 years I've been on YouTube, I have never seen anything like this ever. I've seen schisms, and don't get me wrong, I and other YouTubers and I and other people in the skeptic community have said, both publicly and privately, that Atheism Plus and this whole really regressive social justice warrior movement is eventually going to cause another schism again. And this is what it is. This is a schism, no matter how you like it. Now, I'm not to blame for this, right? I know RN thinks that I'm just destroying the atheist community because of my arguments from philosophy, that more and more daily, if you read my comments, people are coming around and recognizing that my arguments are legit, that I am giving out correct information, both logically and philosophically, in regards to atheism and agnosticism. They don't like that because it's against their narrative. And what they do to me, right? They did the same thing to me. They basically censored me, right? Or censured me. God, that's a hard distinction between censored and censured when you've been drinking, right? But they've censured me. And they basically said, we're no longer having a conversation with you, Steve, which is fine, right? I have a standing rule from years ago with the Great Debate community, right? Is that you can extricate yourself from a conversation at any given time, anytime you want, for any reason. Okay? So if you don't want to continue with the conversation, you're done, right? Completely, you're done with the conversation. And I think that's a way to go, right? If I don't like it when somebody says, oh, they ran away or they're cowards. No, if they have a legitimate reason or they just, just don't want to continue, I got no problem with that. Matter of fact, when I debated true empiricism, he was getting his ass handed to him, and towards the end, he's just like, I don't want to continue. I'd rather just leave and end this, and I don't want to continue. Fair enough. I didn't say anything to him. I didn't say you're a coward. Wasn't belligerent. I was like, okay, thanks for being my debate partner on this, my sparring partner, but go with God kind of thing. But anyways, when it comes to Rationality Rules video, he was actually going to, like I said, make another video and correct some of the things that he got wrong, which I think is commendable, right? That's what we do. We get things wrong. We fix it. I mean, Kyle can tell you all the time, I will stop what the hell we're doing if I get something wrong, just so I can correct myself. I don't like putting out incorrect information. I think it's if you are on the internet and you're putting out something that is going to be watched by other people, I think you have some kind of duty to make sure that you check your facts as humanly as possible, right? We all can't be correct all the time, but I think that we should at least have our due diligence to make sure that what we put out is the best possible information we can based upon our knowledge and at the time. And if the experts correct us on that, we take the reproach and we go, okay, let me fix that, right? And I think we all do that, right? So, but anyway, so the ACA, the American Community of Austin, again, and I want to clarify this for anybody who ever listens to this video. And by the way, you're welcome to come in. It's open. Links in the video description. Actually, I'm sorry. Link is in the, it's not in the video description. It's in the live feed. There we go. I should have put it in the video description. My fault. But I put it in the Twitter and I put it on the Facebook. So the ACA has done a lot of good things. No question about it, right? I mean, they are a main staple of atheism. It's like a bastion of skepticism for many, 2 decades, I guess they've been around. So they've done a lot of amazing things to get people to think critically, and if that entails leaving theism, so be it. That's not my agenda, right? But they've done amazing jobs with some of the arguments. They've at least brought awareness to these topics. So I can't fault them for that. This is not about me and against them as an atheist organization, because I support many atheist organizations. Milwaukee Atheist, Atheist Edge, Fully Deconverted. I support all of them, right? I think Arvina is amazing. I think Jim Hall is amazing. I think TJ Tuttle is amazing. Well, he's okay. But Lawrence from Milwaukee Atheist, they have done it right. They are saying, look, we are an atheist organization. The way we're going to promote atheism is we are going to do it by pointing out bad arguments and talking about what people are bringing to us, right? You don't shut down a conversation on a volatile topic just because you have an aggressive left-leaning audience telling you can't be talking about this stuff. I think that kills discussion. I think that kills a channel. I think that kills an organization, because now what you've done is you've catered to a very specific niche of people that I think is a minority, but is the most vocal. And I swore many moons ago that I would never do such a thing, right? I swore that I'm always going to say what I want, when I want, where I want to, and I think other people should follow from that. So I wanted you guys to come in. I want to talk to you guys what you guys think it is, because honestly, overwhelmingly, all I've seen is people that agree with this so far. I mean, it's almost across the board. There's some, dissenters, but almost everybody, and mostly the atheists, are agreeing that what they did with Rationality Rules was just was not the correct way to go about the discussion, because especially just a couple days before, they're treating him as like a friend, and that video came out long before he went to faithless form. That's what I don't understand, and maybe you guys can help me with that. How is it they could look him in the eye and treat him with such respect when he was there, to actually have him come on the show, have one of the highest, I think it was the highest rated episode that Atheist Experience ever had, just to turn around and throw him off the bus? And by the way, I'm muting people that have background noise. Fix your mics. But anyways, I see the live chat out there. If you guys got questions on this, you don't know what's going on, we'll start at the very basics. But I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. So the people that came in here, we got Taylor, we got Sandring, C. Damon. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys, first of all, do you agree that the ACA, first of all, should have made a declaration with the narrative that Rationality Rules was somehow transphobic, or even imply, because again, I don't think it was a direct accusation, but if you read it, do you not think that it was certainly implied by the context of the language? See, Damon?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. This is a mess. I love the ACA. I've been. It's one of the first things that I found when I started becoming an atheist. I don't know what you say, but and some of the people are kind of beloved to me. But this, it's happening with a lot of groups that I see, where it's this automatic, just sort of jumping to the conclusion. They just, and it's outrage, really. I just don't get it. Like I'm befuddled. I have a hard time talking about it. I just don't understand how this happens so quickly.
Well,
where somebody who's been such an ally in this community, not everybody says things that I agree with. Mm-hmm. And I think when they're wrong, we should definitely point this out and be, strict about it if we need to. But this automatic, just sort of like just throwing them under the bus just because they said something that maybe we didn't agree with at any given time. I just don't get it.
Yeah, well,
it's just frustrating.
The reason being is this. Look at, I love that word, look at. I'm not going to stop using it. Make fun of me. I don't care. I like it. It's not really a word, but it's just a thing I do. We all have our quirks, right? They were pandering to a very small group of vocal people that were running the narrative that he was transphobic. And then instead of just backing up Rationality Rules, they decided to basically capitulate to that small group. We've seen it before. It's nothing new. They've tried it on other people. I mean, if you guys don't know, Kyle and I are supposedly transphobic, homophobic, Nazi-loving, Jew-hating, you name it, we're it, right? We're just horrible, horrible people, according to certain people. That's the narrative that is, because when you can't address the arguments, you try to vilify, you try to stigmatize the other person sometimes. And it's unfortunate because these discussions need to be taking place. I think Rationality Rules had the right idea, but the wrong execution, if that kind of makes sense to people. I think it could have done things quite differently. I tried to, when I make a video, I tried to get people to look at it first and give me some feedback on it. Not that I make too many of those old videos any longer, but when I did, I was like, can you kind of look this over, right? Because I want people to go, you might want to change that, you might want to change this. And I would have told him, you might want to leave out certain things, like the whole Joe Rogan thing. It's a man. Yeah, probably not a good idea, because that was hyperbolic, right? But that certainly doesn't make him a transphobe, right? I mean, that's just poor choice of judgment on that.
No, I don't think that his video made him transphobic, and it's not transphobic to hold the opinion that trans women shouldn't be competing in women's sports. That's not a transphobic thing.
Right.
I mean, we've become so sensitive and so afraid of the mob, and the mob has become so infatuated because they have nothing better to do than be outraged at every little perceived slight, and then they set out to utterly destroy people. And that is vindictive, and I think that it is evil, and I hate it. And I hate that by extension, the implied acceptance that he was in fact a transphobe by the ACA was horrible. And they should have said, look, you should know by now that the opinions and views of our guests don't necessarily reflect our own.
Exactly. I'm not responsible for what you guys say on my channel. Well, I mean, technically I am because you're on my channel, but that doesn't mean I hold your positions, right? I mean, I'm going to hold you guys accountable for the things you say as well as you should hold me accountable for the things I say. That's how it should work. The way it should have worked from a responsible organization, from somebody who had more level heads. And by the way, it is not all the ACA. I can tell you from experience right now, there are some people internally in the ACA that are not agreeing with the decision. I'm not going to go through things I've heard, but it's not a consensus, trust me, by any stretch of imagination. But what they should have done is this. We like to thank people that have brought to our attention about Rationality Rules video. There are some things that we do not agree with and think that he should correct them in a future video. We look forward to him clarifying these things and blah, 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 blah. That's all that needed to be said. If that didn't satisfy the regressive far left, then what would have? Because I have told people before, and I haven't told Rationality Rules on this. I've talked to him about this before. Just after this happened, I was telling him very specifically, and I'm not the only one. Other people have told him the same thing. They're like, do not capitulate to these people. Do not sit there and apologize and grovel at their feet and try to lick their boots, because they, one, will never think it's enough, and two, they will hold you under their thumb forever. Right? Admit to your mistakes. Say you screwed up this. You'll fix this. Thank them for it. Be polite. Be congenial. But do not lick their boots. And I watched his video today, and I was so proud of him because he did exactly that. He not lick their boots. He shouldn't say that. He did exactly what we hoped that he would do. He stood his ground, and he said, yes, I'm going to fix this. But he was very, very contrite for the fact that he knew he made some errors, but at the same time, very much pointing out that they had no right to throw him under the bus. Right? That was just a shitty thing to do. Speaking of which, TJ, I just talked, were you listening? Because I shouted you out. Kind of.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I have some opinions on this, so go ahead.
Yeah, no. You know what? I really, please, like I said, I've been really amazed that Atheist Edge has been able to actually have such an open platform. It's not easy to do, right? I like to think that I have an open platform. Great Debate Community is an open platform, but even we have some rules, right? Because we want to be able to at least have a productive dialogue. You guys take a different approach. You guys actually have a more open than me. Which is difficult, right?
Yeah.
But I respect it.
Hard.
So go ahead. Tell us about Atheist Edge and what you think.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the criticisms that have been, pointed at them for obviously doing what they did, but I think are mostly, for the most part, correct. I mean, like we're supposed to be, like the atheists out there, we're supposed to be like part of this movement that's about free thinking and thinking for yourself and being critical thinking skills and all that kind of stuff. And it's like they're pretty much going the opposite direction of that. They're being dogmatic and
now TJ, you and I go back for a while. When we first actually interacted, we kind of butt heads a little bit. You grew on me
you disagree with people and still be friends, though.
You grew on me like a Venera wart. I ended up liking you. But really me this, and first of all, this is rum and coke night. Why the hell am I only one drinking during the day here? I feel like I'm an alcoholic at this point. I'm Saturday, 2:00. Oh, that's water, Damon.
No, it's
what is that? You're drinking, Taylor. Okay. All right, so riddle me this, because Kyle brought this up in the live chat, and this was a perfect opportunity to segue to it. When Emperor Atheist, who in my opinion did say very, very bigoted, homosexual, bigoted stuff, right? I mean, he was homophobic as shit. There's no way I could actually rationally, and I'm like thinking I'm kind of an objective person. What Emperor Atheist did was bullshit. I mean, it was straight up homophobia and bigotry. I'm sorry. I just cannot say otherwise, right? And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, and I'm not trying to dog whistle politics or anything like that. It was homophobic. Now, they didn't just say a word about that now, did they?
No, and I think it's really just because they kind of associated themselves with them by having them come on their shows and stuff. So I think that's why they were kind of up in arms about Rationality Rules, because they were like, oh, we don't want to be associated with this, like possibly be construed by people that are fans of our community or patrons of our community or supporters of our community. We don't want them to think that we're, associating ourselves with anybody that could even remotely possibly be considered, not towing the party line, basically.
No, and that's a fair point. I mean, obviously that Rationality Rules has been on their channel, and Kyle pointed out they're still showing his clips
Yeah, he broke records with
Well, yeah,
his.
he's popular.
He's a good because he's a good guy and he's smart and he's really rational about things. I mean,
I'm not kidding. He is one of the most philosophically sound-minded people I've ever met in life. He's still wrong on a few things, aren't we all? I guess
yeah.
maybe, but I've never met anybody that understands certain concepts as well as he does for lay
Well,
person.
not only that, he's demonstrated that he's willing, more than willing, and certainly able to amend his positions if he's incorrect about something, which is like that's the best quality that you can have as a rationally thinking person.
Isn't that what the atheist experience kind of promoted back in the day? I mean, I
I
will admit,
mean,
Matt Dillahunty will we have our disagreements, but he will change his opinion and position given enough information. I respect him for that, right?
Yeah, it's hard though to get him to
But it
move
is
on.
hard, right? It is very difficult. He will do it, and he has done it.
Mhm.
But he also will block conversations, and I've seen him do it not just with me, but I've seen it with other people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention any names. TJ, you know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to say this. But he threw a friend of mine under the bus because he was like disagreeing with him, so he said, "Oh, you must be a Trump supporter,"
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like,
I mean,
and the person
I
is
don't
not
like
a
the
Trump
guy
supporter,
either.
and TJ, you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking.
That was just beyond the pale, man.
Yeah, and that's like I've always tried to tell people, like, look, we can be as rational and logical as we want to be, but we're still underneath it all. We're still emotional. We're an emotional species. People make appeals to your heart all the time about things, and we can be moved by, the emotions that we have, and even though we try to be as rational and utilize that prefrontal cortex that we have, to understand things and circumvent those more reptilian like responses we have to things, we can still be subject to them. And I mean, I think I think people demonstrate that all the time. I mean, we're still just emotionally driven mammals at the heart of everything. So I mean,
All right, that's fair. I
We
can
evolved
that.
socially, right? So when stuff happens socially,
we like to think so.
Yeah, but, we love who we love, and we care about people. And when we have identities, we have our own identities. And when we feel like those identities are under attack, or we feel like people are pointing out things about our identity that are flawed or something, and I definitely think that our beliefs are part of our identity. And people think all the time that, hey, if you're saying something about my beliefs are incorrect, you're attacking my identity, and that's pretty much what that.
No, and I totally agree with you on that. But look, we now have, like, in this little hangout right here, we have a wide variety of opinions, right? We have a live chat with wide variety of opinions. I've got moderators that are Christian, moderators that are atheists. Some of them are Satanists. I have all kinds of different stuff, right? But the thing is, almost all of them are rallying behind Rationality Rules, even some of the theists.
Good
right?
cause.
Yeah. And that I find amazing. That is what I applaud, right? Because to me, I don't have a dog in the fight between whether God exists or not. I'm apathetic to it to some degree, right? Because I think it's more valuable to teach people critical thinking, and if they come to the conclusion that God doesn't exist by their own accord or don't want to believe in God, that's up to them, right? But you got to teach them this basic skills first. And I think that the people that are looking at Rationality Rules situation with the ACA, those people are saying, we have some critical things and we're applying them. ACA, you need to do the same. Because I don't think they are right now. I really don't.
Well, you should treat people fairly either way. And to throw somebody under the bus if they wanted to call him out on being incorrect, or if they wanted to do something like along those lines, I think you would have been fine. Particularly, that's content. Like, bring him on, have him talk, have discussions, and if you want to change his mind, that's how you do it. Or if he's trying to learn, if he's an honest interlocutor, which as far as anybody can say, he absolutely is, then have that discussion. And if you're not going to have that discussion, you're the asshole.
Yeah, that's what really kind of annoys me about the situation, is the fact that he made an argument. And instead of standing up and saying your argument is wrong, here's why it's wrong, or in the case of the ACA, simply stating he made an argument that we don't necessarily agree with. If you think he's wrong, make the argument, make a counter argument. And it annoys me that people just come back with this outrage culture. I'm going to have a massive, a small group of people are going to have a massive outrage over having somebody on there. And it's like, if you think that he's wrong, make the argument that he's wrong. Stop trying to destroy people just because you disagree with them.
Yeah, man, I like this guy.
And yeah, Sandra usually has pretty good perspective on things. I'm gonna ask a favor to the live chat out there, so we don't reiterate what we just went over for the last 20 minutes. Could you guys kind of fill in Alex Malpass on what's been going on, because he had asked in the live chat. He lives in UK, so he's probably not caught up right now with some of the drama that's been happening. But let me ask you guys this, and. Caitlin Chloe she pointed this out, right? And I was like, I was just flabbergasted at what she posted, because she had noted that the ACA was taking down posts, deleting comments, and actually saying you cannot talk about this in their community.
Yeah.
And
I have
she's
something
like,
to say about that.
well, one sec, she's like, wait a minute here. This is a topic that should need to be discussed. We should discuss it. You can't just sweep it under the rug. She's absolutely right.
Yeah.
So, and you'll see at the very bottom, admin turn off comments for this thing, or disabled comments.
Yeah.
And all of them, right? And at the same time, going back to the original thing that Rationality Rules was talking about, if you dare even talk about transgender, or you dare talk about biological sex, they'll delete the comment and even have removed people from the group.
There's something about this topic that kind of drives me a little bit crazy, in that a lot of the part of the problem is stereotyping, right? And we can all agree that is not the only problem, but that is part of it.
Part of it.
Sorry?
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah, so that it becomes an issue, and I think it hurts the argument when you say, well, I feel like a woman, so I'm going to do these woman things. I was like, well, that's kind of, you're hitting the stereotype, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're kind of undermining your own point at that. Well, just be you.
Well, I mean, I have this unpopular opinion too, that apparently that fostering weakness in people isn't good for society. But yeah, I mean,
it's complicated.
Did you guys watch Pine Creek's video, by the way? Real quick?
Yes.
Huh?
Okay. Did you not think that was one of the most brilliantly done? Satire, obviously, but I mean, it was a polemic. I mean, he basically lambasted them on how they have become the thing that they've argued against. Which, again,
right.
I'm going to say it. I've been warning people about this for a very long time, because I've seen them do it to me and other people. Even some of my mods asked them. They have gone to the ACA live chat during an Atheist Experience thing. Just start talking about something, and they would get removed or censored. I swear to God. And they're atheists, like hardcore atheist.
Everybody hated Steve before it was cool.
Yeah, it's still cool to hate me. It's just, kind of ubiquitous.
I hated Steve before it was cool to hate him.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
At what point does the conversation on an atheist channel begin to drift away from atheism and is no longer on topic?
When you
That's
start
fair.
talking about social justice warrior stuff, when you start catering to atheism plus, and
Social engineers need to be stopped. I mean, point blank.
Because it's toxic.
Part of it
kills
is,
everything.
though, is its activism, if we're talking about the ACA in particular. And the ACA wants, or should probably, I shouldn't say what they want, but what they should be doing is wanting to include as many people as possible. And calling out poor behavior in the atheist community is a reasonable still kind of thing if they're trying to make atheism seem positive. So if somebody's saying, hey, I'm an atheist, all these shitty things, calling that out is fine. But when you go and throw somebody under the bus and you're a shithead to them and you shit on them for no reason instead of engaging the topic, that's when if you think it's off topic, then don't bring it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's well spoken. I don't know why we can't. When did it happen that we don't give people at least a simple benefit of the doubt before we excommunicate them?
Thank you.
I just don't understand that.
Especially 2 days before, a couple days before, is that Faithless Forum? Nothing's matter. They're inviting him on. That video came out prior to that.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
That's what I can't wrap my head around.
2 o'clock in the morning.
My biggest problem.
We're going to find out that Rationality Rules and the ACA are in cahoots and they're just trying to make drama to get more views.
Exactly.
It's all a conspiracy.
Damn you atheists, you all conspiracy
And it's all being
people.
paid for by NASA.
No, yeah. It's Illuminati confirmed, right?
Hamsters. It's all hamsters.
That's another
Hamsters all the way down.
That's another weakness that I've seemed to have found with, and it's growing, and it's disturbing, and it's just wrong. Take Aaron Ra, for example. Pretty much politically, I couldn't agree less with the man about politics. You know, he doesn't do a lot on politics, but when he was running for office and stuff, he did put out some political stuff, and I'm like, I completely disagree with you. I don't hate him. I'm a Patreon of his. I love the things that he does in his field of expertise. I think that he's an overall great person. I don't think he's evil for the kinds of policies that he wants to see put in politically. I disagree with him, and I still think that he's an awesome person. And I just don't understand why suddenly, if you disagree with me over some position that I hold, some belief that I have, I'm suddenly a very bad person, and I deserve to be attacked.
Well, Sam, let me ask you this then. I think the world of Arn as well, right? I mean, when it comes to creationism, I don't think he and I could disagree on anything, right? When it comes to the facts of the matter, that this creationism is composed of bullshit. But we clearly disagree on philosophical topics, because I make no bones about it. I think he's completely illiterate when it comes to even basic philosophy. But he continues to have the dialogue with me. I don't force it upon him. I don't tag him on anything. He tagged, somebody else would tag him, but I never involved him in the discussions because I didn't want to bother with it, right? But his views are still up for discussion, right? So I'll still talk about it. But then you have some idiot going, well, if you're talking behind his back, I'm like, it's a public fucking forum on my page. I talk about him on my page, which is public, you idiot. So no, I'm not talking about him behind his back, and I talk on video, and I know.
And it's not like he doesn't know your views either.
Right, exactly.
Like you haven't already had the discussion.
And I'm certainly not saying anything negative about him personally. I have the utmost respect for Arn. I really think he's a wonderful, kind-hearted, intelligent. Just he'll give his heart and soul for somebody, right? But he has blind spots, and hey, let me finish. And instead of just saying, "Hey, Steve, I'm just going to extricate myself from this conversation, and I'm going to go do other things," he decided to block me, right? And he did the same thing that Matt did, right? Who I once talked to him. I had maybe 6 tweets with him in my life, right? I have no dialogue with Matt ever, but they felt the need, instead of just saying, I don't want to talk to them, to block me, right? I knew at that point that something's going on with these organizations where they want to censor people. And I said so, and people were like, oh, Steve's being paranoid. Okay, fair enough. I think I'm kind of redeemed for that a little bit, because now that they did it to somebody like Rationality Rules in a much more spectacularly egregious fashion. I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm really not. But Rationality Rules has a large channel. He does wonderful videos. Both him and Cosmic Skeptic. But you can imagine if they would have done this to Alex, like Cosmic Skeptic?
I think they would have done it if he would have said the same exact thing. I mean,
I think they would have too.
Know.
No, I think they would have too. Sure. Yeah. But can you imagine the blowback on that? Because he's a nice kid, right?
But you make a good point, Steve, about you're talking about like personal attacks against people and stuff. Like, so as far as I'm concerned on that front, like it's really easy for me to address that particular thing. Like somebody very wise. This is my grandmother that was talking to me one time when I was little, and I was really worried about kids picking on me in school and stuff like that, and she told me one time one thing that like really, really stuck with me and has carried me through a lot of hardship in my life, that, what people think about you is none of your business. Honestly. I mean, they can think whatever they want about you, but it's really none of you shouldn't concern yourself with it, because, I mean, it's only going to cause stress in your life. And if you dwell on those things, it's going to cause you to act irrationally when you're in discussion. So, I mean,
yeah.
Like, don't even worry. Like, it's none of your business. Like, don't think of what they think as something that you ought to know.
No, I agree with that. I made my quote unquote UQ, whatever minimal career it is, on that premise, right? I cannot live my life how other people view me, right? Because you're going to have people that like me, that I like back, and there's going to be people that just can't stand me. Fair enough. I don't really care either way, as long as you're an honest interlocutor. There are people I cannot stand that are still on my Facebook, still on my Twitter, still on my YouTube, that I engage with, and I hate engaging with them. But the problem is they've never crossed the line into being a troll or disrespectful. To be fair,
just the other night he had on, like, you guys had Apology Supreme.
Fair.
Ouch.
Wasn't where I was going with that, but okay. Okay, fair enough.
Oh, something else I was going to bring up too.
He's so rude on Twitter. Come on.
Oh, he's
so bad.
He's got to be. I swear to God, if you guys can think of somebody who has less self-awareness than him, please find that person and send him our way. Because I don't think there
G-Man.
is. No, I will have a debate on you with that. I think maybe that'd be a good debate.
G-Man is completely unaware of how ridiculous is he.
I tell you what, Rodent. I tell you what. If Kyle's still listening, Kyle, when we do next debate roulette, can we put that on the debate roulette reel? Who is less aware of themselves, Atheist Supreme or G-Man? That's a amazing debate that I would listen to.
You want me to put it in show suggestions?
Yeah, you put in show suggestions too. What do you guys vote? Who do you guys think?
When he freaking did GCAT, that was like probably one of the top 10 all-time internet moments of my life, dude. Like,
I will admit this. I have watched a lot of Hangouts in my life, and I know it was because it was on my channel that I might be biased, but I have still never laughed as hard in my life and as many times by watching it over and over again. GCAT on that Hangout. That was amazing. I don't know any Hangout ever on any channel that was that freaking funny.
Oh, that was genius. I got to give it to you.
And it was so impromptu. None of that obviously was scripted.
Unplanned.
If the live chat is not aware of it, go find a video on my channel. It's also on the Great Debate channel too, but it's called Pine Trees and Elephants, G-Man or G-Cat or something. Go watch it. It is with Arn Raw and G-Man, and I am not lying. If you don't think it's the funniest hangout you've ever had in your life, if I ever run into you, I will buy you a beer.
Yeah, you talked about slavery. It's just funny. Like he's like makes the example like, oh, if slavery is wrong, then me owning this cat is wrong. And blah, like,
that cat looked like it was like scared shitless. It was like, I don't want to be here. You could read his poor little mind. He's like, get me out of here, please.
That cat had the biggest WTF face ever.
Cat's like, oh.
My dog ran off.
That was one of the greatest moments of the internet.
It's like, help me.
Yeah, see, people in the audience, they know what we're talking about. They watched it.
It's famous. Like I think everybody probably pretty much that watches the show knows that. Steve, I was going to say something about what you were talking about earlier with the Atheist Experience, like their official like Facebook page forums or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, funny story about that. I'm a charter member of a group that was started in response to
the Atheist. Let me guess. The Atheist Experience Unofficial and
Uncensored.
Yeah. I'm in that.
So we kind of like, it was basically born of the mods, basically like anything that even could be remotely considered like, they call it like ableism and like all kinds of isms, right? They have all these rules where if you say any like thing that like mentions any kind of thing that they don't like, they'll instantly like mod the thread.
It feels bad when the Facebook for ACA is worse than a Reddit mod.
Fair point. Well, I'll say this. I do like that group, by the way. I am in that group. I'm in 40 or 50 groups. But there was one time you had a mod that actually muted me only because I asked him a question. And a very polite question. Now, you took care of it. And props to you.
I took care of Mike, man. Mike. He
you really did. I give you huge props for that. Don't think that I don't notice these things. I really pay attention.
Yeah. And I told him, I was like, dude, we can't say that we can't stand on the principle that we're gonna like be a free and open exchange of ideas, free marketplace of ideas, and then like curate what people are gonna say and what they can and can't say.
Especially because I said nothing bad. I didn't use any invectives, no pejoratives. I wasn't insulting. It was just a question.
Yeah, I know. And and I'm still, the funny thing is though, is that I'm still friends with the guy. He's still a mod, and like I just, I don't know why. I feel like I have this knack for diplomatic like resolutions to conflicts between people and stuff. So I think that's another thing too that has made our YouTube channel awesome, is that we've been able to have some people that have had disagreements in the past come on the show and like kind of hash out their differences a little bit. Like you and Bionic Dance came on the show that one time and talked, and you guys had been each other's throats for a little bit before that. But you came on the show and you talked, and you weren't singing Kumbaya by the end of it, but you at least got a chance to like not talk past each other for a change. So I think in that way it kind of like fostered some like positivity and some progress in the conversation.
Yeah, and I was willing to do it, and you guys made a good platform to do it on. I knew I was going to get treated decently. I knew I was going to be heard. But I didn't. But you're kind of mistaken. I didn't really have a conversation with her on it. She had a conversation, and then I came on and had my conversation.
Yeah.
So we weren't talking to each other. I really have no desire to talk to her. I will never really be somebody that hangs out with her. But I at least got my point out. She got her point out, which is completely fine. That's fair. People can choose any sides they want. But you guys gave a balanced platform by asking honest questions to get our actual positions.
We're true neutral,
I
man.
really do respect that because, as you know, and as other people have seen, I am straw man daily. Even Matt Dillahunty straw mans the shit out of me. Arn still straw mans me, and it's something that is just noticeable. And all I ask is, if you got a question, you don't understand my position, you don't know what my position is, guess what? All you got to do is ask me.
Man, I was on Steve's show for like, as soon as I got there, I had people immediately straw manning me.
Oh, and I'd like to thank you guys for a phrase I was unaware of, but the concept of steel manning an argument, I think, is one of the best things I've come across in a long time.
Yeah, and you get, by the way, when you steel man somebody, and if you're able to take down their argument, think how more effective that is, right? Why would you want to attack an effigy of something? Why would you want to attack a straw man? This goes, and I don't want to get in the whole argument, but this goes the whole burden of proof. Why do you want to avoid a burden of proof when you can use a burden of proof to show somebody's wrong? I think you should run with it. If I was an atheist, right, I'd be like, look it, I believe all gods are bullshit. Let me tell you why, right? And as I tell you why, I'm meeting my burden of proof. There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Not difficult.
I've been talking to Flat Earth Aussie Jesus. And
Jesus, why?
So I've been,
you've been talking to Flat Earth Aussie Jesus behind her back?
Only a little bit.
Are you cheating on us already?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
She's going over to the flat side.
I'm
you hear
doing
this?
it for the greater good.
She's going to the flat side. Wow. Okay.
So I was trying to get like what his actual points were, like what his claims were, so you can break them down. They're amazing. I've got 6 of them so far.
Did you hear the one? Did you hear the one about the giants filled up the moon with helium and then it rose to the?
Oh no, I haven't gotten to that one.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
I like the everything will naturally be flat always. I'm getting him to confirm them. So it's like, okay, is this what you're saying?
So what you're saying is
you heard what Kyle's going to do, right? Kyle's getting Flat Earth Aussie Jesus, Debbie Durant, Nathan Thompson, Sleeping Warrior, Anthony Liley, and a couple other people, I guess. And we're going to try to have a massive, flat Earth thing with just
Kyle's
the
going to create a
stupidity.
singularity that's going to kill us
That's
all.
what we're hoping. We want to see if it actually creates a black hole of stupid. That would be awesome.
Oh god, they're going to eat each other.
Oh no. The only time cannibalism was acceptable.
He'd be like the Donner Party of flat earthers. Let them eat each other.
Well, apparently cannibalism is still alive and well according to the ACA. I mean, they're eating their own like left and right these days.
Hey, like I said, this narrative, when you start running things and you start doing this progressive social policing, it's going to eat an organization. And I can't go to too much detail because of private conversations, but I can tell you this. Logic is a friend of mine, and he has experienced this before. He has experienced firsthand what the regressive left can do to somebody. And he's a great guy. He is one of the nicest guys ever. He has a weird way of approaching some things sometimes, and we kind of butt heads a little bit, but I have the utmost respect for him. But he's a nice guy, right? He doesn't have a homophobic or transphobic bone in his body. And yet they still went after him. And he said it was going to happen again, and it did. Not with him, but with somebody else this time.
So what do you think?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I was just going to say, Steve, so what do you think about this, this attempted hijacking by the social constructionists and the social engineers to basically hijack the word phobia? They're like, oh, it doesn't mean rational fear anymore. It's just whatever you say against whatever.
No, I mean, here's the thing, and I agree with you, but I think it is an irrational fear based upon bigotry.
Well, but they're conflating.
If you were actually against it,
it's not what it originally.
It's not like it's a fear. Like I'm saying, hey, look, I fear being around you, right?
No.
But it's you would not say that homophobic is an implied bigotry. It's an irrational fear of whatever it is, right? You think that you're of a certain group of people because you have some bias against them for some reason.
If it manifests itself as an exclusionary tactic, then yes.
Okay.
But saying that like big like men beating the crap out of women in MMA is like somehow like that's not like in what universe are we living in that's supposed to be like we're just supposed to lay down and accept that.
Well, like, I mean, if both people are consenting, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, look, if you got two sports people, one male, one female, and they want to box each other,
but that's their career. They don't have a choice. They're like, hey, I have to fight whoever they put in front of me.
No. That's
We're talking about different things. We're talking about just regular. Hey, if Cheshire and I wanted to put on the boxing gloves, we're going to go to task with each other, right? If that's what we decided to do.
I can quickly say,
kick my ass, but
I can actually say that I fought a girl in the Thunderdome at Burning Man, and she kicked my ass.
Yeah, girls can be more vicious than guys.
You take 100 men in your vicinity and 100 women in your vicinity. How many of those women are going to be able to beat up 100 of those men?
Well,
Not very fucking many.
Well, clearly.
Well, hold on. There's a difference between something. Okay, so if you're going to do something like this, and I don't necessarily know if this would be a solution, but you're talking about the fight would be unbalanced. Well, the fight is not necessarily unbalanced if you do it based on weight class.
True.
No.
Allow the genders not to be an issue. Instead of separating things by gender, you separate them by weight class.
But there's two things you've got to remember when it comes to. I didn't want to get into the whole trans stuff, but I guess we're going to go there a little bit. There's two major factors involved. There's the muscle constriction time and there's the motor response.
There's more than that.
Well, but those are some of the main things to deal with, right? Because your motor constriction time is about the same for males and females, but the motor response is faster in males. This is. I can give you studies for this. I did research on this.
We're wired.
Therapy.
So when we are biologically male, and I want to make this very clear before we go any further, because if people have any issue with this, please tell me now. Because I asked this on my Facebook page, and the fuckery that I got was mind-boggling. I literally asked this today. I had one guy who claimed to be a biologist say these terms are not used when I cited them from actual studies, and everybody's looking at this guy. What?
Which isn't real, apparently.
And every other biologist even saying no, forget it. So they're agreeing with me. But here's the thing. Look, this is what's getting people kicked out of groups for saying this very thing, that there are only two gametic biological sexes. So when it comes to gametes, right, spermatozoa and ovum, spermatozoa does the fertilization, ovum does the be fertilized. In the human species, there are two gametic sexes. That's it. That has nothing to do with gender. That has nothing to do with gender expression. That has nothing to do with gender dysphoria. That has nothing to do with social contracts. That is basic biology 101. You need to start there and then form a framework. So if somebody is a trans male to female, they are, they're a woman, right? Because they're expressing as a woman. You use a feminine pronoun. Nothing wrong with that, right?
I would put a caveat that there are some abnormalities, although quite rare.
No, but there are no abnormalities that differentiate between other than those two classifications. The abnormalities you're referring to are called chromosomal abnormalities, Turner syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome.
True.
Those deal with a abnormality with the chromosomal count, or like the SRY gene, right? Which develops males as you're gestating. But the actual biological sex, and I can quote people on this if you really want me to send you stuff that are actual PhDs in biology, that there are only two gametic biological sexes. I've asked numerous times to people if there's a third, what is it? I have never once had a person answer that question. Not one.
You've got it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that specifically XY, XX? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm not talking about chromosomes at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Because one of the determinant systems is called the XY sex determinant system, right? Mm-hmm. Which is we're using X and Y. But the problem with that is some genes are translocated from the X to the Y and Y to the X. So that's not really a good determination system. The basic way in biology, and I learned this back in intro to biology in college, so I don't know why people don't know it now, right? It's still been around a long time.
Please clarify. I mean, that's
the way in biology is determined is the male of the species does the inseminating, that has the spermatozoa. The female is the one that has the ovum and is received as a receptor for the fertilization. And if you're a biologist that disagree with that, I'm happy to take correction on that if you can explain it otherwise. But I know a lot of biologists, and not one has ever disagreed with that.
Are there no exceptions where there are people born with the I know it's
I mean, we're not talking about the
complete
exceptions.
outliers.
We're talking about on average.
Well, even the outliers, even if you have intersex,
Yeah, we're
right?
talking about
An intersex person has secondary characteristics, right? Secondary sex characteristics, right? Disambiguous or ambiguous genitalia, or if they have like androgynous testosterone syndrome, and the receptors don't receive testosterone. I probably pronounced that wrong. Drinking here, but there's something that is abnormal, and I don't mean that as pejorative. This is one thing that people need to stop thinking.
Yeah.
When it comes to like medical things, you talk about an abnormality. It's not a pejorative. It's not saying they're not normal. It's just saying there's an abnormal condition that is unusual. That's not normative. That's it. Okay.
atypical. Yeah.
Atypical. That's all it's referring to. There's nothing implied to be bad about that, because I have seen some people take that and run with it as some kind of slight against, like an ableism kind of thing. Yeah. But when you're in intersex, you still fall into one or the categories. Okay. Now, when it comes to gender, it's called a bimodal distribution. And a bimodal distribution just means this: two modes, bimodal. So you have one mode for male, one mode for female, but in between there, you have it's not quite a spectrum, because I have modified my view on this. I got to admit, I used to think of gender as a spectrum. For the longest time, I talked to an actual gender expert on these things, a PhD that I respect. And they explained very clearly on the bimodal distribution that I thought was a spectrum is not discrete. And even though there's a difference between a discrete and indiscrete spectrum, when I brought that up to them, they said that is true. There are two types of spectrums, but the problem is you cannot categorize things like XXY, X0, 48, XXY. You cannot put them in any type of reasonable system where you have a contiguous or even non-contiguous line between the two modals of distribution. They're all over the place.
Hey, Steve.
Does that make sense? Kind of. Okay.
Hey, Steve. May wants to come in.
Yes. Yeah. I love to have May come in. Yeah, and it's funny, and I want to thank May before she comes in. People have been saying a lot of horrible things about Rationality Rules, myself, King Crocoduck, and Kyle, and May has spent a lot of time, her own time, fighting against that fuckery. She has spent a lot of that time defending us, and as much as I appreciate her doing it, I feel really bad that she has to waste her precious time, because she does a lot of stuff. We're talking about her in front of her now. Where'd she go? I just invited her in. That she'll argue about, go to the TERFs, right? These trans exclusionary radical feminists, who I think are some of those vile, vitriolic, evil people I've ever heard in my life. I mean, they're just vicious. His time is better spent trying to talk to those people than these idiots who are trying to lay a narrative that somehow Rationality Rules, myself, Kyle, or King Crocoduck are in any way transphobic or homophobic. So, May, I do thank you for spending your time that way, but I do apologize for the fact that for some reason you think that you need to, or that it just sucks that you have to be drawn into that, It's a shame.
Yeah, well, I was a part of it, and have you seen my Twitter feed?
Yeah, you're the new dumpster fire. People can't say my Twitter feed is a dumpster fire any longer. It's yours.
Well, I think people like her are just a testament to that. Like, so many people are vicariously outraged and vicariously offended for people. When you look at the actual people that they're being offended for, they don't hold a lot of that shit. They're like, she's like, look, I don't care that you're so outraged by this. This is a rational discussion we're trying to have, and we're going to be logical and rational. And you're emotional, outbursts and shaming of people because they don't use the language that you prefer.
Well, May said that same thing. She said she called them professional. Would you use a really good
perpetually
expression.
Offended outrage brigade.
Yeah, professionally offended outrage brigade.
And there's a lot of money behind it too.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
what was your take on the Rationality Rule situation? I mean, of all people that need to weigh in on it, I'd like to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't see the video. I didn't see the entire
what the hell
video.
You know then? Okay, so we're moving on. No, I'm kidding.
No, hang on. I did see part of it. I don't think that he's transphobic. I think that he's factually incorrect.
No, his latest one. I know you watched the original.
That one. I just watched it. I did see that, and I commented on it, and I'm like, I don't think you're transphobic, and I'm waiting for your next video, the one saying that, your new positions and everything.
Don't you think the ACA should have waited to that as well?
Yeah, they definitely should have. Like, that was a total overreaction.
Big time.
Now, I will go on record. I have not talked to any of them about this. I consider Jamie a friend. I like Jamie Boone. I like Eric as well. I like Talk Heathen, great show. I have nothing against either one of them. Even though Jamie had that announcement, Jamie actually posted from his own thing in some of the other things. So I think he actually was one that wrote that, if I'm not mistaken. I don't hold it against Jamie. I really don't. There's some political stuff going on. I think Jamie's a wonderful guy. I think he's funny. I think he's intelligent. So I have not talked to any of them about this, so I'm not going to weigh in.
Yeah, there's a really big difference between what an individual thinks and what a group they're part of.
Yeah, and that's exactly it.
Like, even if they're in charge of it, that's still not going to be the same as whoever's or whatever group is deciding to make.
Yeah, because he's the president.
Right.
He's the president of the organization, right? And so
there's a really good chance that is not what he thinks at all. And even if they are, again, it is possible that there's just somebody that's there that's super reactionary to it, and they're just like, fine, whatever, post something. We give up with you.
Well, there are some reactionaries there. Again, I'm not going to, this video is, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. I'm being very positive. I've not said anything negative about any specific individual of any consequence. Their arguments, yes. And I think their knowledge levels, but certainly they're all good people. I don't think anybody from the ACA that I watch is a bad person, right? There are horrible people out there on the internet. They are not those horrible people. I mean, how in the world can you, even if you disagree with them vehemently, even if you think somebody from a host from any of the atheist shows is a bad person, how do you compare that to somebody like Dean Esme or to Matt Powell? I mean, you're talking about different categories altogether. You're talking about Cantor levels of cardinality difference. Well, math people get that joke. Like nobody laughs at my math joke.
Practically wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, can I say something right quick though?
Yeah.
So this is a legit question. So there's like all this controversy and all this like hoopla over this whole like topic right now. Could we actually like put this whole topic to bed by simply changing the distinction between, like, instead of saying, look, this is men's sports and this is women's sports, can we stop doing that and just say, look, this is gametically female sports and this is gametically male sports? Would that like solve the whole problem right there?
Or how about a third and have like intersex sports?
Or have a third option for
people for that. And we have a hard enough time getting people to watch regular women's sports.
Yeah.
But so like who's gonna watch, especially in certain parts of
that shouldn't be a consideration though. We can't force people.
I agree with watching is not really a factor.
Yeah,
well, it's 100% a factor because this is a show. This is an entertainment thing. The Olympics exist for people to watch them.
But see, Chess, I understand your argument, but the problem with that is that becomes now a political reason for economic gain.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is.
But that that's going to be a factor when it comes to social engineering. This is a social thing. This is
whether or not it should or shouldn't be doesn't mean it isn't.
Fair enough. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Get into this. I'll get into it, but no,
no. I hate talking with smart people. You guys need to dumb yourselves down. I'm used to dealing with idiots. Stop it. I don't like this.
So the gravity is not really a thing. It's only buoyance. It's only uppity and droppity.
See, now I feel like I'm at home, right? I feel like I'm at my level now. Low hanging fruit. Thank you.
The squeeze-ons are holding me down.
It's squeeze-ons. You know what squeeze-ons are. How the hell do you know what squeeze-ons are?
Because I've been watching you guys long enough.
Oh my God, you're old school if you remember Mr. ID talking about squeeze-ons.
Oh yeah, I've heard all of that
That's
stuff.
old school, Mr. ID.
Oh man.
So then I have to ask, why the insistence on putting yourself in the arena with people who are male, like putting themselves in the arena of competing with sports with females?
So
because I'll give you the answer. Because
I'm legitimately want to know.
When you have a trans woman who's fully transitioned, she's been transitioning for however amount of time. I don't know the exact amount of time where it brings everything in line with a cis woman, but statistically, if you look at the statistics, forget about all the biology, forget about all of that bullshit. Statistically, when you look at the records of trans women, we do not fare any better against cis women than other cis women. Like, people have
That's actually false, though.
People have vitriolically attacked Dr. Rachel McKinnon, who's a cyclist. She won a world championship of some type. I'm not into cycling. She won a world championship of some type, and people are like, "Oh, she's a that's me. She's a cheater. She cheated all the other people out of this." And you know what? That she was raced 13 races. Okay, 13, 1-3, and you know how many she's won? 3. The only reason people care that she's in these races is that she won a championship.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've got an interesting question.
Mm-hmm. Give me a minute.
What is the difference between someone who is taking hormones as they change their gender expression versus someone who is taking steroidal supplements to enhance performance?
Good question.
Well, May's not here. So
well, one won't necessarily enhance your performance.
Well,
you're not going to be taking, like, if you're talking specifically in a competitive sense, you're not taking the
You're correct about that, though.
But the arguments that are being made, hang on, the arguments that are being made is this, and again, I'm going to turn this over to May because she reads a lot about this stuff. But I'll give her the argument, and then she can agree or disagree. At least the argument is what it is. The people, and again, I don't think this is even a factor to be that much considered in the long run. I think there are other more mitigating factors in the fact that there are inherently, some, like I said, with dealing earlier, like motor responses between male and female. But the people that are HRT or have any kind of testosterone, when they're talking about how much levels that they have, there's an argument to be had that some people might abuse that and ride that limit, to the most amount of efficacy in their system, divide them the even the most minimal amount of competitive edge. How do you prevent that?
Yeah,
that's a valid concern, and the answer is regular blood tests. and to be fair, I will also add. I will also add, getting testosterone down is not a exact science. Most trans women have a testosterone level target of, I believe, under 1 nanomole per liter of blood.
I thought it was like 5 nanometer. Wasn't it like 5?
No. That's the IOC.
The IOC requirement is 5 nanometer per.
Yeah,
5 nanomoles per. Was it 5 nanomoles per liter? Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But most, if you look at, like, I have a lot of trans friends, obviously. If you look at a lot of their,
you're one of those people. You're not transphobic because you have trans friends. Is that the argument you're going to go with?
Okay. Sure, but most of us have testosterone under like 1.
Yeah, but you're not competitive sports, are you right now? I mean, if I ask you, okay. So.
Look at you.
No, I'm not competitive. But I will add, like, I'm non-binary, right? I'm on the normal regimen for HRT, but I plan to go off testosterone blockers in a few years once I get everything I want. I would not go into competition if I was off testosterone blockers.
Okay,
that's good.
But
let me ask you this if I can, because I got you here. This is a very serious question that I'm going to be frank with, because I do not know the answer to this question.
Okay,
so I'm going to pull an idiot person. I don't understand this because you were talking about NBs and things that stuff. So let me ask you this: how can somebody be transgender and non-binary at the same time? They seem to be exclusionary.
No, well, first off, transgender literally just means you identify as something other than your birth sex, right? So
so non-binary would mean that you're not identifying with your birth sex because you're not identifying with anything.
There's many. There are many different types of non-binary people.
This confuses me. Trust me, I really do. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it really does. Because I don't think they've even worked it out. Meg, be honest. Even within the trans community, they have to like. Hang on one second. Okay, so they haven't even got it worked out yet, right? So I don't feel like I'm crossing any lines by saying I don't understand the terminology that they're using, and I want to understand the way they're using it as opposed to how I use the terms. Okay, good.
So non-binary is just not strictly male or female. Then there's a bunch of different types of binary. Right. So
gender wise.
Okay. Or gender, whatever. That's fine. But
higher order category.
So you have You have non-binary, male, female, TJ Tuttle. You have all these different types of.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting there. I understand it. Now, let me ask you this again. Like we have like 152 people watching, right?
Okay.
You know my channel. You're a mod of my channel. You're a friend of the channel. You're a huge supporter of the Non Sequitur Show. We love you to death. You've always been kind and informative. Do you agree that these discussions are something we should have? They're welcomed. And when you see something like what happened with Rationality Rules, to kind of tie back to that a little bit, would you rather have discussions like this that we're having right now and be able to talk about these things where we don't understand, we don't agree, or whatever, but able to discuss them or have the conversation shut down so people don't even talk about the trans stuff any longer? Which one's more beneficial, you think?
I'd rather talk even stuff like that where I wholeheartedly 100% disagree. Well, not 100%. There's some concerns, but
can we get you a turf to debate? I'd love to see that. I would love to see you go off on a turf.
Can it be a three-way? I think feminism's cancer.
No. We're not talking about feminism, right?
It'll just be TJ.
We're talking. Do you know what a turf is, TJ?
Yeah, trans exclusionary rights.
Yeah. Those are a special kind of feminists that I've never. I mean,
feminists.
They are bizarre.
They are. I would rather not.
I don't blame you for that.
Why are they
so hateful?
I
don't know.
They're so vitriolic. They're like incel, like the incel community of feminism.
They're like the women incels.
Yeah. You're not good enough to be one of us. Fuck you.
Oh God. When did you get my other shirt? You can't sit with us.
They're the male tears feminists gone so.
Yeah, I want to.
Hateful of anyone who has any connection.
They really are.
Yeah.
Now,
They are quite literally.
I don't think feminism is cancer, so I'm going to clarify for TJ. TJ, you're on your own in this one. You could just qualify your thing. I do think radical feminism and radical SJW is cancer. Now, one of my
as soon as you put radical on the front.
Right, my friend, like Brittany Simon, she's a feminist. I adore her, right, and we actually agree about 99% of the time, right? And I can't say she's moderate. But she's not an idiot, and she's not radicalized, right? She's not going around calling people things that they're not, or trying to demonize them. Because radical feminism does.
Like you, Courtney. It's Courtney.
I love Courtney.
I love Courtney too, and she's my girl.
Why talk shit about Courtney, man? I'll mess you up.
No, I'm not talking shit about Courtney. We love. She's just.
You obviously are. You're just trying to mansplain your way out of this.
Yeah, man.
I think this might be the only time.
No more picking on TJ for the next 10 minutes.
I think this is the only time that we could all agree.
I can take it.
Oh, I bet you can, big boy. I bet you can.
Oh.
I think this is the only time we could all agree that TERFs are feminazis.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. Yeah. I didn't use that term, but that's a Rush Limbaugh type of throwback.
But
yeah.
Actually,
I feel icky using it, but
have resorted to calling them a lot of people have actually resorted to calling them fascists, just straight up fascists.
I think they are fascist. I think that they are. Okay. I don't know if May watched, but did you guys watch? When we had Vishnu or Vush? What the hell was his name? Vasha. Seems like very intelligent guy, very articulate, very able to command the English language, to have an argument. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, by the way, Antifa, yeah, they're great. What do they do wrong? Oh, speech is violence. We should be able to kill people for what they say.
Well, I didn't
see that.
And his view was, when he said it, a little bit extreme when he first brought it up, but when he explained it a little bit more, it was
I think he just kind of. I think he kind of just softened it, but
sophistry.
I don't know if he necessarily made it softer, because initially he was talking about that if you spout violence is justified against you. Like eye for an eye, essentially.
Yeah.
If you're inciting, that's not speech. That's an action.
Yeah.
You're taking action. If you incite people.
He was specifying speech, right?
But his argument was this, Chess.
For him, I'm just saying that it was a little bit more
nuanced. Yeah, but what I was gleaning from it was this: that if he or anybody thought that your speech can somehow lead to violence, I then have the permission to preemptively be violent against you. That's the way I was reading it.
Clarify that well enough to be able to tell.
You might be right, but I'm still gonna go with this. I still think that was the narrative he was running. I could be wrong, but
that have actually codified this and have actually defined this. It has to be something that is imminently possible and likely to happen.
Yeah, like Nazism.
I don't know what you mean by when you say that, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to use the word fucking Nazi. All right.
Yeah.
But that
Always
becomes
goes
the
back
point
to
of
Nazism with you sometimes.
There are Nazis.
no.
That's
Is
two
there
in a row. That is two and two straight sentences.
Possible and likely to occur.
I'm looking forward to your third point being Nazi something, because you have 2 points in a row that have both been Nazi.
Wait, what?
it's an easy target. So
No, it's fucking not. There was Hitler, and there are no other Nazis.
yeah.
Well, there's
There
no.
are
Okay, here's the thing. There's hang on. There's okay. If you want to be a pendant, there's no Nazis only because the Nazi Party is no longer around, right? They were dissolved.
Right. There are Nazi-like.
There
folks
are
out there.
neo-Nazi. However,
right?
wait,
Yes.
let me finish. There are neo-Nazis, which are people now that are referred to as Nazis. They're not referring to the original Nazi Socialist Party. They're referring to them, the neo-Nazis party, as Nazis. So you can't say they're not Nazis around. If you clarify what you mean by that, which I think that when I use the term Nazi, I am actually referring to the neo-Nazi movement most of the time, because that's what we
Right.
see
Thank
that
you.
exists
Well,
right
You
now.
have to be very specific when you say things like that, though.
He also
Right.
never specified what he meant by violence. Not really.
He said you could kill somebody, Cheshire.
He said specifically, when he explained to Chris later on, he specifically said that if somebody is speaking like in violent rhetoric, that if they have a large enough platform and a following, they are responsible for the violence that is incurred, and therefore violence should be used against them, or is justified to be is justified to be used against them. So, like, if you've got Hitler, then at what point is it okay to kill Hitler?
Well, I mean, I just spelled that out for you guys and told you what the Supreme Court thought about that. They've articulated it. They said it has to be
I thought he was an anarchist.
Yes, you have to be imminent danger.
possible and likely to occur.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Look, when it comes to like violence,
That's what I agree with.
yeah, I agree with that as well. Actually, when it comes to violence, there is something in domestic violence, and I want to make sure that people have these distinction. Domestic violence is not the same as what we're talking about as violence. Under the law of domestic violence, words and harassment can't be construed as domestic violence. That is a very specific legal term, right? But violence itself in the general population, as far as what we're talking about in general parlance, must involve a physical force. Okay?
Yeah.
Words
Violating
are not a physical force. Now, I agree with TJ. If there's imminent danger to be had, like if I'm saying to
or
TJ,
imminent.
TJ, I want you to kill Cheshire, and you're just provoking her to kill,
that's an
I will
example.
take your life first.
Possible and likely to occur.
Right, and I will take you out before any harm comes to Cheshire. Not only because I like her
And you're
more,
justified in
but I would be justified. I would be justified, right? You agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So everybody's saying kill TJ right now. That's what he's saying, right? No.
Really?
Okay.
Well,
I lived the closest to him, so just
he was
No, don't hurt
If you're
TJ. Come
gonna
on, guys.
kill me,
gonna
at
come in
least
right now and like do me in right now.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're
Feel
gonna
like we just
kill-
met.
We like TJ. Don't kill him.
If you're
TJ,
gonna
if I-
kill me, at least do the favor of videoing it so you can give the incels some
Yeah.
make sure you write a manifesto.
Something like that for this guy.
I'm not going to joke about manifestos, but I'm certain, TJ, by the way, I'm going to do this here in a little bit. I'm going to look up, because we both live like right there by DFW.
I love you, man.
And I'm going to say, hey, TJ, do you see that American Airlines airliner that's flying right over top of your fucking house right now? That's how close we live together.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna hear it.
Yeah, we can look up in the sky and like identify the same plane flying overhead, basically. So
Yeah, and yet the exact opposite: social, political, everything ideology.
Oh no, it's fine.
This is proof, by the way, that atheists, TJ and I, are proof that atheists can live in close proximity to one another, not believe in any gods, and then say, "Guess what, TJ? You're wrong about everything else."
I do disagree about pretty much everything.
That's the litmus test. If TJ agrees with it, just take the opposite point of view. You're fine.
Yeah,
Yes.
you are good to go. If you want to be a progressive, just be like against everything.
I'm so glad I'm in the middle. I'm a moderate for the most part in a lot of different social, economic, and political things. So I can listen
Am
to
I the
both
only-
sides and go, okay, whatever.
Am I the only
we all agree.
progressive
Wait,
here?
hey, one sec. We all agree on this.
I'm the only progressive.
Do we all agree on this? Because I'm gonna have a hang on this eventually. I'm still trying to have it. Do we all agree that Trump is a fucking idiot, though? Is
Yes.
everyone on board with that? Okay.
100%.
If there's anybody who thinks otherwise, we were trying to get a Trump supporter on. We can't
TJ.
find one.
It's possible that he wasn't an idiot once upon a time.
TJ,
When he was
I'm
well, I don't know.
Look, I think there's a
for a while.
made that he is not mentally sound.
TJ,
No,
TJ is.
definitely
I need
under debate.
TJ to clarify this shit. TJ is right below me on the screen. I'm gonna punch down into this screen. I don't know where you're at. Like, I need TJ. I need you to clarify. I need because I'm Steve. He may not agree with you.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Point up. I'll tell you how to do it. Point up. Point straight up. Okay. Now put it to your left.
To my left or your
point
left?
Yours.
Well, now I'm pointing at you on my screen.
No. Okay. Go the other way.
Wait.
Okay. Now more up to the ceiling. Yeah, you go. Well, okay, you went too far, but yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Right.
Now
That's
keep
it.
going that way. Do on that next one.
TJ!
There you go. Yes. Well, that looks
Up
dirty
there.
now.
So
TJ got a smile when you did that, by the way.
Liked it. No,
is
TJ,
Trump is Trump the Dunning-Kruger president?
He's not even at the level of Dunning-Kruger. Dunning-Kruger, okay, if you go look at the graph, right, there's a mound of stupid, right? And we know a lot of people that live, they camp out on that mound of stupid. And then you have that dip, then you have the slope of enlightenment, right? You have the plateau of what is it? Plateau of disillusionment, I think it's called, and then you have the slope of enlightenment. I don't think Trump has even started on that. It's just I don't know.
No, but he's so competent, or he expresses himself as so competent.
Yeah. So did
Yeah, I
George
guess he would be on the Mount of Stupid. Yeah, I guess he has to be on the Mount of Stupid.
I mean, I think that's where Sam Harris actually like made a big impact on me with Donald Trump, is because right from the very beginning, it was like, look, I don't care about anything else. The only thing I care about is that this guy's behavior implies that he has not an original thought to him, that the depth of thought is so thin that he's just a moron.
Do you know how many cabinet members have left or got fired?
Wait, left, fired, or like in jail, indicted.
Or indicted. Or indicted.
Like a long list of people.
Yeah, or indicted. That's the best
people
way
on
to
the
go out, right?
campaign. I mean,
most of the people are Russian nationals, though, right?
TJ, I'm not going to joke about that shit because it's real.
I'm not joking either.
TJ, wait, I got to know this because we are going to do a hangout on this eventually. TJ, you don't think there was any kind of Russian collusion, honestly?
There wasn't.
I mean, it doesn't look good, for sure.
No, I don't.
You don't think so, Nathaniel?
No, because you have to define collusion. It's not collusion.
Yeah.
But they certainly interfered in the 2016 election. Nobody disagrees.
How
with
is
that.
the Trump meeting and the Moscow Tower not collusion?
Yeah, I surprised because the Mueller report did
that colluding doesn't mean they didn't collude, right?
Mueller report did not say that they were
they're
colluding.
stupid and they suck doesn't mean they didn't try.
Yeah, that's what it is. It doesn't mean they have to succeed. It just means they had to have the attempt.
The attempt, yeah.
You try to
very
rob a bank with a super soaker.
It's not like
and you
sex.
get arrested, it doesn't mean that you didn't rob a
need
bank.
more than the attempt there.
Tried to.
Well, the word collusion has been thrown around too much anyway. It doesn't mean what people think it means. It's also very, very specific terminology being used in the Mueller report, in the Mueller investigation, in every single indictment, all of those. None of them actually say, this motherfucker colluded. No, none of them say that. And nothing about it was ever about collusion. It's always been like this media thing. No, it was nothing about it was about collusion.
Do you think that Trump has acted in a way that should disqualify him from presidency?
Yes.
Immediately. He should have been disqualified as soon as he didn't give up his powers.
Yeah, here's the thing. Even if this, and I'm sorry to say, but there has to be some kind of minimal standard for any kind of position.
Like minimal facts?
Well, hang on. Why? But minimal facts. Fuck
I'm
you.
a minimal fact.
Why is it why is it we have certain minimal standards for any job in the world, but for the person of the highest position in the free world,
because
he gets a pass?
Preach it, Steve.
Power that you think they have.
Dude, he's got nuclear launch codes. He's got power. He also fucks up. He also has the ability to fuck up geopolitical structures and pacts. And look, he got us out of the Paris Accord. Kim Jong Un. I mean, what the hell's going on with that, right? I mean, he's just letting him walk all over here, Trump, because Kim Jong goes, I get away with what I want now.
Trudeau's walking all over him.
He likes those kinds of people, man. He loves them.
Authoritarians, right? You think he's an authoritarian?
I think he's an authoritarian.
He is.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. I think he loves it. I think he enjoys the power. I think he loves the attention. He loves the power.
But he's inept. He's a
reality TV star. Yeah,
he's a narcissist.
He's like a child.
I mean, you have my agreement on that all day long. Like the dude's a fucking train wreck, for sure. To be sure. I mean,
yeah. Well, yeah.
Why do we have a president that's that incompetent? Why is there
Well,
no protections from that?
We've had
Nobody voted.
before. Look at Woodrow Wilson, or William Henry Harrison, or like there have been other like inept presidents.
Well, of course.
Harry
I mean,
Truman,
Andrew
George
Jackson got
Bush.
indicted. He got impeached, right? Because what he did was try to bring back
Cheney.
slavery, and he didn't want to ratify the abolitionist things.
To lower the bar.
I think he's been both lucky and good at manipulating the media.
Yeah,
I think
I will give him that. Yes.
Most of it's luck, though.
I think that actually the most dangerous president had in my lifetime, and I'm not going to include this guy here, was Dick Cheney. Not even close.
Yeah.
He was the power behind the throne.
He was the most dangerous president, Dick Cheney. I got that. I actually get that joke.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
I
That
get
took
it,
a while to
yeah.
process.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
a little slow on the uptake right now.
This is the point to point of order with that one, is to say that George W. Bush could not have made those choices on his own. And the problem here is that our current president, as inept as he is, does not have the system of checks that should be in place, because whether or not a person agrees or disagrees with any of his policies, the Republicans aren't checking him on anything.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's an issue. Whether or not you're a Republican, whether or not you want to suck his dick like the entire Republican
There's a
Party.
Democratic congressional majority right now, though, so he has the checks in place.
See, I think.
But nobody in this, find me a fucking Republican in the Senate that is not sucking him off right now. Even Ben Sass.
Would you say then the most powerful president that we ever had was Hillary Clinton? One of?
No, it was actually who was FDR's vice president?
That was
Orloff?
Was it Ford at the time?
No, FDR's vice president, the first one.
Yeah.
Before he got fucked over in 44.
Yeah, but I thought one of them was
the guy from Iowa.
Now
I'm messing up my American. That was
Truman, Garner, and Wallace.
If you want somebody who's a Trump supporter for the show, you guys should have the contact information for that guy that he still supports. He still likes Trump, although he's now apparently going to be voting for Andrew Yang. But he still thinks Trump's great. He just doesn't think he doesn't hate Trump. He just says that he doesn't think Trump is capable of doing what he promised.
Oh, well, I tell you what, we just had one of the biggest Trump supporters come in. Hi, Sokka.
Oh, Jesus.
Wait, I've never met this person. Am I going to hate myself?
No, Sokka's not a Trump supporter.
Okay.
No. Sokka's actually one of those smart philosophical guys. They're rare, I know. But anyway, Sokka, what's up, buddy?
Man.
Yeah, how are you liking Trump? I know you voted for him.
You know what? I don't understand why people complain so much. No, I'm just saying. I mean,
yeah, who the fuck cares if the president lies every single day and says that Democrats are traitors? Who cares about that?
And they basically run all of domestic and foreign policy by their Twitter account. Do you know that's funny?
Yeah.
This is a true story.
It's weird. I was just saying it.
One sec.
Okay.
You know, this is a true story. Do you know that the official White House political POTUS thing, that is actually part of the historical archives? That's part of the National Archives, right?
Yeah,
right. But because he uses his own personal account so much, they're trying to include that now into the National Archives because
they did get that in there.
I don't think they passed it yet. I know they were trying, but if they did, I'm unaware of it. But that was something they were definitely trying to do. Which I think they probably should.
Do you listen to any podcasts at all? Opening Arguments is a great podcast for that kind of thing.
Oh, I talked to Andrew. Andrew Torres. I'd love to have Andrew on the show on Non-Sec. Actually, Steve, I've talked to him a few times. He has a great podcast.
Yeah, Andrew Torres.
Arguments podcast. He's like a
CC Sleeper said, "Please tell me Kofefe will be recorded in the National fucking Archives."
Yes, it probably will. I don't see why not, right?
You'd have to have like a good chunk of the responses too, because he tweets back, doesn't he?
I don't know.
He tweets and then retweets himself. So that actually, there's a question. If it goes into like
yeah, the retweets does it get?
Do you put his own retweets in there? And also, like, if he retweets himself, it's like a double tweet that's in the record.
Don't forget to put how many likes it had. That's like the most
that's important. But also, when he retweets Russian bots, which we know that he does.
It's like a retweeting double jeopardy.
Like, yeah, that means he can actually yes, because then we can say,
Oh, that's shit.
right, you're being in the public in the public and the private sector, you're getting fucked, man. So
Good
Jack's
point.
not gonna do anything though, because Jack, whatever.
Trump's the greatest president ever.
Absolutely.
We just got demonetized, and I think I just lost my entire channel. But thank you for that.
What does that say?
Yeah, the whole trans
If
thing.
If they review
we'll
this video,
escape that.
it's not gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna pass muster. It's definitely gonna stay
You
demonetized.
do have to look at Trump,
Purpose.
and he has been able to implement many of the policies and changes that the neocons have been trying to push since like the 70s.
What about federal imprisonment reform? The thing that he signed into law that got a lot of people out of federal prison. And a lot of those people were people of color.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
no. There's certain things I look at. I agree. I really think there needs to be more legislation to get people out of jail that are in there for things like marijuana charges. How that has not happened?
Legal here.
That is something that
libertarian bone there.
why has that not occurred? If we're gonna have social change, start with shit that makes a difference, like that.
Because
See, it's capitalism.
Kyle.
Out of prison,
It's good for business.
drug offense.
Who said that? Who's good for business? Who said that?
I did.
Because you're
It's
right.
good for business.
That you're dead on that.
I was in it.
Yeah,
I was
you're
in
dead
it.
on
I
that.
know.
That's what's scary. It's not even hyperbolic. You're right. It is business.
It is a business when it's taken over by private industry, like a private corporation, and they're making money off of it. That's what it's about.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Anyways, Sweet Heathen jumped in. Do you want to weigh in on your favorite Trumpism? Or you're standing with Trump?
My favorite?
Yeah. What's your favorite Trump experience? We just want to hear you talk. You can talk about anything you want. I don't give a shit. You can read the Koran at this point. I'll listen. I don't care.
No, I'm pretty much in line with all the haters.
Is that Sweet Heathen?
That is Sweet Heathen, yeah.
It is. Hi.
She is real. She does exist.
How you doing?
Unless you're
Doing
metaphysical
okay.
nihilist.
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
All right.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be new phone, who dis?
Yeah, no, Trump sucks. That's all you need to know.
And I hate doing the
We say
bandwagon
the
thing,
same
right?
things over and over again. We all have been on the same page for the most part.
It's demonstrable.
It kind of sucks, he was sweet, because I really don't like doing the bandwagon thing. I don't like jumping on the whole, hey, let's, bash on the president kind of thing. Because I never have before. I never
have
you go to Bush, right? But on this, there's no way you can't with Trump. There's no way a rational human being could look at this guy and go, oh, he's totally competent to be in this position of power. Totally.
Yeah.
This is no way.
It's funny.
I find the most honest people.
Go ahead, sweet.
Oh, no, I was saying that I find the most honest people will admit that he's a horrible president, but he's doing what they wanted him to do. So it's a lot of people have very personal reasons for supporting him, and they can acknowledge that he's not an intellectual. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's creating all this chaos, but he's pushing the kind of legislation that they want them to push. And it's like any single issue voter, and anybody on either side is just as guilty of that. They can be.
Is it just me, or is he just on the side of Christian nationalism? I don't get it.
Well, I don't think he's a real Christian. I hate doing the no true Christian fallacy, but
he's being supported by them. I don't know. If
but I don't think he buys into any of it. I think he's just supported by
I think he's pandering to them.
Of course he's pandering to them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Look at who his vice president is.
My sound not working?
I'm pretty sure Pence is like a straight up creationist.
He is. Did you never listen to him talking to the Senate about the evils of evolution? It was mind-bogglingly stupid.
Well, it was the House, but
that was the House. You're right. I'm sorry. My bad.
So,
sorry.
Your government.
Yeah, I don't know
it's fucking important.
Fuck American government, right? My civics lessons suck.
Yeah, you hosers need a proper parliament, eh?
You know what? I swear to God, I didn't even know. I had to look this up the other day. I didn't know the difference because I never looked into European politics. I didn't even know the fundamental differences between the Tories and the Labour Party.
Okay.
Right? Because I'm not English, right?
Them in this country, though.
But the Labour Party is actually the liberal, and the Tories are actually the conservative, and the Australian Liberals were actually a conservative party. It's more confusing than our thing.
Look, Steve, the more important thing to understand about about those politics is that they have a parliamentary system, right?
Yeah.
Which basically means that they don't adhere to any two-party locked-in system. They are able to field any party, right? Any party can come in and say, hey, we're going to try to get votes and we're going to try to win MEPs or whatever. I think that's great. I would totally support a parliamentary system where anybody, any party, any person could make a platform and say, look, this is a new party and we're going to come in and we're going to say, hey, let's try to get votes and win parliament seats and or be, run for prime minister or whatever. I think that should be the way we do things
I'm
here.
not against that at all, but I think the better thing is
We do.
Have you ever watched when they do their parliamentary sessions how they go after each other? It is vicious. It is vitriolic. It is no holds barred, and I love it.
It's beautiful.
Parliament is great.
You can say whatever you want. There's sometimes restrictions. You can't be a direct.
What my learned friend is trying to say here. I love that. That's where I always heard the
Mr.
learned.
Canadian, go ahead.
Are you talking about me?
No,
never.
Is my sound working, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. When we talk about Trump, it's kind of this funny thing because there's obviously these two type of stigmas, especially from an outsider, a non-American. When you look at Americans, it's exemplified towards two different things, the negative aspects that we attribute to Americans and the positive aspects that we attribute to Americans. And from an outsider's perspective, we've never really seen an American president that exemplified all of what we call the positive traits of an American. But Donald Trump pretty much exemplifies all the negative traits that the world associates with Americans.
Sorry, CJ.
You're saying he's the
Sorry.
You're saying he's the personification of every stigma.
Sorry about that, eh?
You're saying he's a personification of every stigma of the archetype of the typical American idiot.
Yes. Donald Trump is the most American president that you guys have ever had.
I honestly can't disagree with him, but I really want to on that. There's something wrong with that argument. I don't know what it is.
Why does America enjoy their politics to be like a reality TV show drama?
Because it is.
Well, but why is it still that way, and why is it okay?
Because you don't have a parliament.
But the monarchy is a soap opera too, with the whole royal weddings and stuff.
It's about money. That's the easy. The media. By the way, let me real quick, Steve. If you want to get really confused, look at the election of 1800 and the goddamn Southern Democratic Republicans. If you want to get super.
The conservatives used to be the Liberal Party. The Liberals used to be the Conservative. The Democrats used to be They all changed.
But the media in the United States of America, and this is actually, we can see this really well whenever Ben Shapiro got cried off the stage yesterday.
We're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you pushback on a little bit. I watched
American media when it comes to politics, and this actually thanks so much fucking Fox News for this, doesn't have to tell the truth whenever they're in the news because it's entertainment, and all they do is they're going to pander and make more and more money, and then they're able, especially with Citizens United at this point, people are able to just give companies who are people are able to give as much money as they want to any type of political party or political person, so there's no need for change because all of the money is going in one general direction. Okay, that's why it's
the people who wouldn't want the change.
Fair enough. Yeah, well, the people that want to change can't get the change done because of that very reason. The Ben Shapiro thing, I'm not a big Ben Shapiro fan. However,
I'm the opposite.
Yeah, there's certain things that he says that I do agree with. I hate to say it.
Certain things he says I agree with, but
whatever.
Not a single fucking thing.
But here's the thing. Look, I didn't think that he rage quit as much as people looked at it like he did. I mean, there was a lot of
fucking did, Steve.
There was a lot. Both of them didn't do their homework. Let's be realistic here. The guy didn't know who the hell he was. He didn't do the homework on him. They were talking past each other the entire time. It was a fuckery of an interview. Let's be realistic here.
It was a BBC interview where the guy is on the right, by the way.
BBC is one of the most left-leaning.
But that guy is right as fuck. But Al is right as fuck. I watched the BBC.
Okay,
all right,
that might be true,
and he was devil's advocating. And you know what? Just because nobody was sitting there jacking off Shapiro like he always likes to get, they weren't asking him how to defeat the libs.
Well, that was the question. The question that got upset was about the
fucking questions. He went
all.
Do
you remember the question? The question had to do with judo Christianity.
I mean, to be fair,
yeah, because it's in his book.
Yeah, I know.
He wrote a fucking book about it.
To be fair, does anybody take anything Ben Shapiro takes seriously after
Yeah, he
he
gets
said
No, like I said, I'm not a Ben Shapiro fan, but
when
I,
the waters rise,
Right.
you're gonna have 10 feet of water in your house. Well, you can just sell that property.
what I like about Ben
Shapiro's good.
Shapiro is I like the way he's very matter of fact when he's dealing with somebody. He has some good one-liners, and he's very, very good at rhetoric.
No,
Let's
he
give
just
credit
says a
at
lot
that.
of words very quickly. There's
Word
nothing
salad?
to it.
No,
There-
I don't think it's word salad. I think it's cogent.
No, he just says a lot of words very, very quickly. There's nothing to it. There's no substance, which is why when anybody walks on that little thin ice, little thing he portrays
Drive-through
himself
word
as,
salad.
it just turns all into Snowflake City.
Cheshire, if you need help, if you're like being like held against your will, like bat your eyes like 3 times. Well, my sub count just went up. It just doubled. Thank you.
Anytime.
I got to roll.
I'm sorry, I use people. I can't help it, man.
It's okay.
I totally use people.
I got to roll. Thank you guys for having me on. I'll leave you with one thing. I think we can all agree that the movie Idiocracy is dangerously becoming a documentary.
Damn right it is.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Have a
Right,
good
take
time.
care, guys.
So here's the rule of thumb: don't fuck stupid people.
Don't stick your dick in crazy.
No, that's no. I like crazy. I don't. I can't help it. I like crazy.
Don't
gonna
procreate with crazy.
Crazy and
Yeah.
stupid are not the same thing.
Yeah. I'm going
That's
to guess
very
that
true.
you
Yeah,
folks
but it's
already...
really dangerous when they mix.
There's actually a correlation between crazy and intelligence. So
Yeah, no, I think so. Well, I'm kind of sapio, so yeah, I think that's kind of true. The crazier they are is usually because they're intelligent enough to know how to do some really fucking amazingly stupid shit. Creativity wise, right? They can be very creative in their fuckery. I like that.
I'm going to
Creative
guess
in their
that-
fuckery.
Yeah, which
You
is
can use it. You can
important.
steal
I'm going to
it.
guess that
Oh.
prior to Sweet Heathen and I coming in here, you folks, and also Sock account.
Sock account. How do you?
I'm-
You got. You're
Yes,
so
and
weird.
I
I
know,
know
I don't know.
everybody, and you guys don't know each other sometimes because I have a large following. But I know Sock and I go way back like 6 years, man.
But I'm going to guess that everybody already like had their opinion or whatever about what's going on with the, ACA and.
Oh, you want to get his opinion on it?
I mean,
I don't know if he knows what's going on.
I know what's going on, but Susan and I talked about it earlier today, and that's why we're not discussing it on our show.
Well, will you discuss it on here? We gave our opinion. Do you want to give your opinion on it? Or are you
Yeah.
Are you going to take this whole I'm an offense-sitting son of a bitch that appeals the Fifth Amendment every single time we ask you a question?
agnostic.
Did you you were in the hangout the other day? Did you not listen to him? I'm not going to give my opinion on that. I'm gonna reserve judgment on that.
I do the
I'm
Abel
Switzerland.
John McCain thing. Yes. In this case,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
John McCain. That's what you were saying. Yes.
Yeah, I do the John McCain thing. I'm just not this time.
All right, what are you going to do on here? Go ahead.
So we obviously know everybody. Susan and I know everybody involved in this too. And we decided that on our show we're not going to talk about it.
So you've snuck on here so you could do it behind her back.
Yes.
She's not here.
That's a good boyfriend as well.
If anybody, well, no, just because it's being spoken about everywhere.
Yeah, this is not broadcast. This is not live. It's completely off the
nobody's
record
gonna
here
see
today.
this. Stephen, I'm so sorry.
Everybody
No.
who may be listening,
They didn't
right?
tell me they were live.
Yeah, just
So
go do something else for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah. So, Susan and I, and I have her permission to use her opinion as well. So, because we both had the same opinion, we felt as though this was something that probably should have been addressed beforehand, and that it certainly wouldn't be like it is now. We did see something on Twitter right after Faithless Forum, and we're like, what is this about? And then we figured out, we're like, oh, well, that's not good. And then we thought it would go away, but felt like it was the entire thing, and this is our opinion, but that it's reactionary by the ACA, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Jamie about it, so I don't know what the process was to get to that, and I don't know if I will, but we also watched Stephen's video earlier today and appreciated the video, and at the same time said a lot more could have been done with this, to where the ACA could say something along the lines of our guests don't necessarily reflect our values, without adding the additional, and this person has already had to think about this. That's not really, that's shit that doesn't need to be added. But also in his video, that he could have taken that time in that video, in our opinion, to say, like he did, that I was wrong, and that I feel as though the ACA was reactionary.
He was wrong about. He wasn't fucking wrong.
TJ, shut the fuck up, okay? I'm talking, dude. And
I love to see you guys at a bar together.
We actually don't do that bad when we're together. And we don't talk about politics when we're together.
The distance hurts them.
Try not to.
But then both of us also thought that he could have gone a step further and actually said, this is what I said. This is where I feel I was wrong about it. And this is how I'm going to make these moves going forward. Instead of stringing something along in a video format. And both of us feel as though there's a reactionary across the board type of thing, and where it could have been. We feel
there
anyways.
There are good people on both sides.
Yeah, in this case, there actually are.
But don't you feel like they threw one of their own under the bus? I mean, it wasn't like there was some egregious heresy that was being committed, right? That's why I really like Pine Creek's video. He did a very good, poignant job of pointing out this was no different than what a church would have done to excommunicate somebody for heresy against the church, right? I'm sorry. There was religiosity involved in some ways. Now, I'm not going to go so far. Obviously, atheism is not a religion. We all know that's a bullshit statement.
Most of the time,
but hey, let me finish. There are aspects of certain organizations that are very analogous to religious thinking, and I don't know why they do that.
You're talking about poor behavior by an organization.
I think
designed to bring people together.
Personally, in my opinion, is what I think we should do is we should take atheism and we should tie it in with other social justice movements. Call it something new, something flashy.
Atheism Plus. That's a good idea. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Why hasn't anybody thought about that before?
That way, we could actually subject people to purity tests, before we recognize them as true atheists.
Wow, it's like I'm having deja vu.
We can do the opposite.
Yeah,
do you guys? Sokka's been around a long time, so he's probably the only one that might remember this off the top of his head.
You guys so hard.
But let me know if you guys do in the live chat as well. We love talking about old stories, the things that I'm not. I guess I'm an old timer now, right? I mean, it's weird that I've been around that long. But do you guys remember the time? What happened was Matt Dillahunty had started a free thought blog. It was on Atheist Plus. It was a blog dealing with atheism, and he had gone on there under a sock account. Get it, sock account. Went on there in a sock account. They didn't know who he was. That was his account. They had removed him. Right? They thought he was trolling. Right? After they found out it really was him when he came back on his real account, they blocked him again and banned him from his own board.
What?
Because he wasn't conforming with the social SJW narrative that they were designed to have from the concept from the other people that have founded it with him.
It is so
I'm not even being hyperbolic on that. If anybody remembers that situation, let me know.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, you remember that, right, Sokka?
Okay. That was it. You could actually still go back and see some of Matt's videos where he was kind of the aftermath of it and talking about it.
But you know what? He didn't throw them under the bus. Which I think he kind of should have. He didn't speak out about it that much against them. I would have been like, what the hell? But he's not willing to do that. But I think with R&R, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. I haven't read his comment that he left on Rationality Rules video yet, but from what I've heard, he is supporting Rationality Rules, and props to him if he is.
Yeah, pretty much everybody is, Steve. Well, at least in the process of this, and that's the point. That's the point I think that's important that people remember, is that in this whole process, a week ago, or maybe even over a week ago, Steve came out with this tweet, which maybe he should have put on. He has a much larger following on YouTube, so maybe he should have put something like that there. But that hindsight, to where he said, "I was wrong about these things. I'm changing, moving forward. I have this new thing, and I'm going to release a video talking about it." And then a week later, this happens, and now it's somehow this is the aftermath of all of that. That's, I think, where people have the issue, and that's also part of, and it's understandably so, that this is incredibly reactionary, and that yeah, it's TJ. I know. I agree. It's crazy how reactionary.
Do you agree with him, TJ? Because I think that you would, wouldn't you?
It's freaking crazy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, it is. It's especially because whether or not TJ you agree with something was or was not transphobic. A week ago, he did come out and say that he had a change of heart and he apologized, and yet he was still given this.
Well, he straight up said he was trying to learn and do.
Yeah.
that.
And he was treated, but he was treated. But wait a minute, they treated him well when he was down there, and they even used him.
That I was transphobic.
But hang on, they even used him for an episode that had the highest rating of all time.
Yeah.
And and then when he left, that's when they decided to do it. I am sorry, that is not cool in my opinion.
They took advantage of it.
Yes.
It's not like the tweet and the video both came out ahead of time.
I've been critical of these organizations for a while. I've been reading this bill. I'm like Atheist Republic, very critical of them, the way they treated me in their Facebook page, the way that they blocked me unceremoniously, unceremoniously or serendipitously. I can't talk today. This is running good shit.
Get another drink.
You guys don't even know.
Drink more, Steve. It'll help you talk.
This is what I love about Rum and Coke days. I lose
Yeah.
my ability to speak. Unceremoniously, they removed me from Twitter, even though I have never had a problem with the Atheist Republic account. Whoever moderates it, we've always talked. We've never had an issue. It wasn't until Shannon and I both condemned a tweet that they had. Wait, no, we both they made it. They had a tweet. I don't remember the specificities of the tweet, but it was, we thought that the tweet was inappropriate against people with disabilities. I think what it was. They didn't block her, but they blocked me for pointing that out. That we said to them, I don't think you should be promoting this particular meme. So
what do we do about it, Steve?
I have no answers.
I called out one of their mods for highlighting a rather transphobic tweet, actually, on their Facebook. And they not only kicked me off the main page, they kicked me, and I think it's because I criticized one of their mods. Not only did they kick me off the main page, they kicked me off the LGBT page as well on Facebook.
Wow.
I think that
That's really bad when you reach a lot of irrelevant.
Multiple letters.
Hang on.
LGBT.
Sweet what?
Oh no, I was just saying that's really bad when groups will not only kick you out of the discussion that they felt like you were making some sort of offense, but it will also take you out of other irrelevant groups to that particular thing. I mean, that's just so petty, and it shows that they're not interested in actual discourse. They're pushing something.
Do you
and
know
that's
that the only one who hasn't blocked me, believe it or not, is when I really have the most amount of animosity towards, as far as how long they've been promoting bullshit, is David Silverman. I've actually, I talked to him on Twitter. He hasn't blocked me.
He's a good dude.
I mean, I got to give respect for that. No, I think, I'm sure he's a nice guy and everything. I think his politics suck.
Well, even if people aren't necessarily good people, however you define that, but if somebody's willing to have a conversation and have a disagreement, and I've seen a lot. I mean, because obviously you post the details of a lot of your conversations. From what I've seen, nothing looks so outlandish that it warrants, in my book, blocking or, especially from a whole page.
Well, somebody said, there's been people that's a narrative saying, well, people block you, Steve, because you're annoying. Okay, let's assume that is the case. We all can be annoying to certain people. No matter how you're whatever your personality is, you're probably annoying to somebody. You're just not compatible. But here's the thing. You can always extricate yourself from a person that doesn't require blocking them. You can mute them, whatever. But when you block somebody, you've effectively shut down all communications. But that doesn't mean that the communication is going to stop. I'm still going to be just as critical of your organization as I was before. Only this time, you can't give me any pushback.
There's also a difference between blocking communication as an individual to an individual and blocking communication from an individual to a group. So if they block,
True.
Right. So if they block May from communicating on their entire LGBT,
which is bizarre.
They've blocked May from talking to all of those people that she had no problem talking with earlier.
Yep.
And who have no problem.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to wrap my head around that, to be honest with you.
It's irresponsible is what it is. And part of that may or may not, I don't know, I don't want to speak for them, I don't know, it may have to do with their mods aren't on the same page.
Well, remember this. I actually had said, did I not condemn the mods for Atheist Republic? Did I not go to Armin and tell him, about the mods, and I even gave him suggestions, right? And he had a meeting with his mods over this. He really did. They even told me. A few of the mods actually agree with me on certain things, but they did have a meeting over what happened to me, right? So, but still, what ended up happening was Armin blocked me. I haven't talked to him once since then. We had one conversation about it. He said he would take care of it and have a meeting. I haven't talked to him since. He still ended up blocking me. What the fuck?
They circled the wagons, dude.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
They circled the fucking wagons.
And even after I said, Armin was very respectful. He was listening. He had some criticisms about. He thought that I should have put him on blast, the Atheist Republic. But I told him, look, the way I was treated, I was going to put it out there on blast because what they did was bullshit. The same thing that people are doing to Rationality Rules. I don't stand for that. When I see an egregious act, when I see something that I think is wrong, I am going to make note of it because what did I say before when we started this hangout? I say what the hell I want, when I want, to whom I want.
That's right.
So,
sorry, Steve. I'm a little bit out of the loop here. Can I get just a quick breakdown of what
sorry, new phone. Who's this?
With this Rationality Rules situation, right? Just see if, because I haven't seen all of the videos and tweets and stuff in question, but let me see if I understand the situation properly. It sounds to me, from what I've heard, from like the commentary going back and forth, that he's put up a video that was dealing with trans people in sports, and some people decided that some of the content was transphobic and have sort of taken that stance and sort of tossed him out of the community to some extent or another. Is that what they do?
Well, I mean, that's silly.
Essence of thought was
the thing that I have an issue with that about is not so much whether or not you can interpret whatever it is, because I haven't seen it, so I don't know for sure, but I think that it's already a pretty nuanced conversation, and I've seen people, cisgendered people, trans people, like people on all parts of the spectrum that on that particular topic fall on different sides of the argument, right? Like I know that there's trans people who don't think that the categories should be mixed in the same way because of like advantages and disadvantages, and I know people who think that the way that people's identify should be the
and particularly in sports, which is different than like if you're talking politically.
I think and this is the problem that I have, is that a lot of my opinions on like trans people come from my trans friends, and I endorse them and I endorse their positions, and if I talk to another trans person, I'm transphobic because there's no consensus over which version of the view I'm supposed to have, and why I just omit myself from the conversation. I don't care.
Engineers.
It's already a difficult and nuanced conversation to have. So I think that like just blanketly declaring someone transphobic because of their opinion on one very specific issue, like on sports, is maybe a bit of an overreaction.
You're also dealing with.
But it from what I've seen, there were maybe some comments that were made that could be taken as insensitive, and it seems that he's tried to roll those back, or he's tweeted that he's going to
but he was aware of that. That's what he said. He was going to correct this video. Now, I even said that I think that I would have left a few things out of his video, right? But the overall topic is something that needed to be discussed. Did he do a great job discussing it? Probably not. But he recognized that, right? When you put yourself out there and you have a video, you're held responsible for the information in there. He got some things maybe wrong. He was willing to fix it. There was no reason whatsoever to do what they did, to excommunicate him and to shove him under that bus and say, we have no ties with you. You are homophobic. You're transphobic, whatever they wanted to imply that he was. There was no cause for that. To what benefit did it benefit them? Nobody was saying of any rationality. Granted, there was the far left regressives, but they're a small group. But on average of our community, right, the people that are here now, the people who are listening, the people that follow most of us, none of those people that I've seen were the ones going, hey, you need to get Steve Woodward off the platforms. You need to get him.
You would think that they were essentially unprompted. Like they saw the video and then that is what prompted it. When you're talking about as an individual, sure, you can make the decision, but if you are representing like the boards and the group, you really shouldn't be making this kind of decision until you've gotten some kind of pushback from your community.
Well, I mean, one of the narratives that I've also seen
should be what's deciding.
One of the narratives I've also seen kind of come out of this is, there seem to be at least some people who are saying that he should have never done a video on the topic at all because
I don't believe that. No, that's
That's
wrong.
not
That's
trans,
bullshit.
so he shouldn't
It's not
be.
fair.
He doesn't have to be trans to do that. That's like I do
don't
stuff on
think it's
videos all the
fair.
time that I'm not.
I do younger creationist videos all the time.
There you go. He's not younger. Although
I-
maybe you
it's
secretly
not just
are.
that. It's not just that. Like, let's say if there was, some specific trans sports category just for trans people, and there was some internal issue, maybe somebody could make that argument. But you're talking about, a situation in which there's the conversation that's happening is should trans people be able to participate in sports with other people who are not trans people. So I think that given that both sides should have an opinion on that, because some of the people who are going to be impacted by that are not going to be
Yeah, it
trans.
involves people also.
I'm not saying that. Like, I think that what we should do is try to minimize harm and maximize, understanding and all that. Like, I think that generally speaking, I support all those rights.
But your morality out of this.
There's arguments made on both sides that are not entirely irrational, even if they're not maybe the truths that people want to hear.
So as far as I'm concerned, if someone is making a purely based on fact argument, I don't care what their identity is. They could be trans, they could be not, they could be cis, they could be whatever. Like if you're going solely on facts, then whatever, you're going solely on facts. And I do agree that it's a discussion that is like one to be had. I do kind of sit a little bit in the middle of it. Like I would approach it with caution, but and just he was wrong. He didn't make good arguments. He maybe had some turfy bullshit in there. I don't know. But like that doesn't make him transphobic. It makes him wrong.
Yeah, and it also doesn't equal let's kick him out. Well, no.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I think. You know why I think both people are rallying with him in this particular instance is because we all can empathize with his position. We all have been there in some probably way where somebody at some point in time, especially with people like myself and other people here that are content creators that have a lot of product that we put out, we've had pushback on it. We get shit, a lot of shit, right? And so we can understand and empathize with being in a position that he's in now, right? Because people will call us things, people will straw man. May, like I said before, May came in, she's been out there in the front lines defending, things that shouldn't have to be defended, right? And so when you put yourself out there, like what Rationality did, we can understand that the pushback he got was inappropriate. And it was unjust and it was uncalled for. And we see ethical considerations there in the ACA.
So I got a question.
One at a time, go ahead.
May, do you think he was acting in bad faith?
No.
Honestly.
No. Oh, yes, May, sorry.
I mean, does May think he's acting in bad faith?
Do you think Rationality Rules was acting in bad faith?
No.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
So
and that's important.
And I do sometimes see this in the community where certain terms have been sort of weaponized to some extent or another, where it becomes, oh, it's 2019 and you should know better. And if you get any information wrong or you put out any content that I disagree with my opinion, then obviously you're transphobic or you're homophobic or you're whatever it is that you are, and you should be entirely dismissed. I don't think that's a fair position to take.
Well, Dave, I put out my position on Twitter and May she's like, that's my position too. If Steve's transphobic, then I must be too, because we have the exact same viewpoint on it. Because it's just the basics we agree on, right? Now the specificities when it comes to the HRT and all that other stuff, I don't think there's enough data out there to say one way or another. But there's room to have discussions on that, right? But the basics are the basics.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
On this, because I was talking about this the other day with some friends of mine. And it has to do when it comes to trans people in sports, and whether or not a trans man should participate against other men or a trans woman should participate against other women. It is a difficult question. We're entering new grounds here, and the what really happened recently was there was that one. I believe she was a South African runner who her body produces more testosterone.
Yeah, the runner.
Okay. And the stuff that's going to come back from this is that she's going to be limited from her ability to participate because her body produces more testosterone or whatever than other.
The ruling was that she would be required to have testosterone limiters, essentially.
Yeah, so the question that comes up then is that, what is the spirit of sport? Okay, is the spirit of sport like the competition there to highlight the people who through through the genetic lottery have been blessed with the physiological traits that are going to make them superior in whatever sport they want to go in. Like, for example, like I'm never going to be as good a swimmer as Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps has physiological traits, in the way that his pretty much everything that makes him an ideal swimmer. So should he be limited in any type of way to make him fair against other swimmers out there? This woman who has the ability to produce more testosterone, should she be limited in this sense? Is the spirit of sport to highlight the natural physiological traits that people are just blessed with, and
you're struggling there, you're going to end up with
or is it about just doing whatever you can to push to push the human body to the maximum, regardless of what the means are? And
let me respond to you, man. Let me respond to you on that.
If you're going to go with something along the lines, if you're talking about what is natural, then you're going to have to quit the entire Olympics. The entire Olympics needs to be completely redone, because almost all of that is not natural.
True. And people are going to have inherent advantages or disadvantages based on where they've grown up and what.
Well, yeah, if you want to talk about just Winter Olympics versus Summer Olympics, you have to remove almost all of the sports, because people in Russia have an easier time with Winter Olympics, go figure, because they can practice all year round.
Yeah, Russian women will kill American women. Yeah.
Much more inclined to Winter Olympics, other cultures, yeah.
Oh yeah. When we talk about the certain traits, then that the certain advantages that people will have in sports, countries that or people that have more wealth, better access to training facilities. There's a lot of things that are beyond just like the physiological traits that can give somebody an advantage as well. So
the other thing is that she could no longer compete. She just wouldn't be able to compete in the women's sports because her testosterone.
But that's silly, because she's a woman.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
I think it is silly. I think if you were born in the era as a boxer that Mike Tyson was around, even if you were a really good boxer, you're probably going to get your ass kicked, and that's luck of the draw in sports. So, this person that happens to be genetically advantaged as a woman, she kicks all the other women's ass for this time, they may be good at running or good at doing whatever it is they do, but they, bad luck. It's
right. But see, the problem, David, with an argument like that, then, is that any person then that has to artificially take hormones or something, that would be banned from participating in the sports then, because they're doing things that can artificially raise their performance.
No. I don't know that was the case, but
so a trans man that takes testosterone, okay. There's no other athletes out there that make male athletes that will get away with taking testosterone. I mean, even there's no, even in the women's sports, there's no, you wouldn't allow a woman to take more testosterone than necessary.
Well, this is why I said initially to remove the male and female targeting.
Yeah,
so
that might be a solution.
Where the conversation always gets.
Find a more biological or a more whatever is more reasonable on that, whether it be weight class, whether it be height. So like a high jumper, if you're between this height and this height, you go and do this. And if you're between this height and this height, you compete with those other people. So you just remove
Jessica, you're saying you should base it upon a different criteria of classifications or categories for competitive sports.
Yeah.
So how would that work in something? How would that work in something like, just say, like football? And I'm talking about American football. Real football, not the soccer stuff that you guys call football.
Okay, I was would you put females and men together to play football together? Yeah, sure. Well, if they want to, why not?
It already happens.
Yeah.
It already happens.
A really good example. Take the Canadian hockey teams. The female Canadian hockey teams play against the NHL level male hockey teams when they go to
sports, Steve. You're not prepared for my conversation.
What's the difference? Well, I'm sorry, you're saying that hockey doesn't apply because it's a different sport than football?
Yeah, he just gatekeep the fuck out of it.
I don't watch hockey.
No, can I?
I love hockey.
The things that concern me about this, though, is less sports. Because I find sports, honestly, more or less boring, and I could care less.
That's what I was going to.
What I think is important is how the conversation is being had. And so if you look at something that is legitimately transphobic, like if you take somebody who's like, I don't like trans people, I don't think that they should have the same rights, they're lesser people or whatever, like, you know, somebody who legitimately is against trans people, I don't see any trans people arguing on their side. Like, yeah, they're right. They should be allowed to say that trans people, like, I have never run into somebody in that position, right?
Oh, there are.
I mean, I've run into people who will say free speech, that's about it, right?
Sorry to
Whereas
say.
with this conversation, it seems to be a pretty decent split between trans people on this issue. So for one side of the camp or the other to say, if you're not on our side, you're immediately transphobic doesn't seem to be a fair metric. Like, because there isn't a fair metric yet. This hasn't been sussed out. It's a complicated conversation. Yep. I don't think there's one answer. I think that what sport you're playing probably matters.
We should be able to discuss it. That's the whole point of this whole broadcast, is that we should be able to talk about these things. And there are certain people out there that don't want us to talk about these things.
That is true. And they don't want the discussion. Sure. And by the way, this is a good time. If you guys in the live chat don't know, the G Plus obviously went away. The G Plus communities went away, along with the Great Debate community. However, we are on Facebook. We're growing. Not going to be as huge as it was on G Plus, obviously, at least not for a very long time, probably. But if you want to join if you have a Facebook account, you want to join the Great Debate community, I'm putting the link right now in the live chat. But come on over there, because we do have a lot. Sokka could tell you, love us, hate us, whatever it was. We had some damn good conversations in the Great Debate community when it was on G Plus. Things that you just don't find anywhere else. Brilliant conversations.
Can I
when Sokka would get in there and fuck it all up. But what? What's Sokka?
Go ahead.
I'll just
you're roboting. Hang on, you're roboting. Nobody can hear you.
Find me a MeWe.
Sounds like me when I'm
yeah, he's roboting.
Sokka,
stop.
Hey, look out your window. There's a 737. Check it out.
Sokka, you're turning into a Dalek. Okay. Can I reboot? Or
I might be I might be the most sports-centric atheist that there is. Okay.
I like sports too.
No, you might like sports. I have a sports tattoo, bro.
Oh, you got me.
I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan. That's all I have to say.
That's okay. It must be nice. What's it like to not have any Stanley Cup trophies?
Ooh, was that a shots fired thing? That was a shots fired, wasn't it?
I'm a Canucks fan, okay? I can fire all the shots. As a Canucks fan, as a Nebraska fan.
Yeah, it's almost like for the Stanley Cup, all of the Canadian players are on American teams or something.
Yeah, I know. You're thank you for all the Canadian players, like all of the Alexander Ovechkin. Oh, he's not from there.
The Olympics.
All the best players to America, so that Americans.
Yeah. Thanks for.
No, you guys just pay your players a ridiculous amount of money instead of paying your fucking teachers.
Capitalist, you keep your socialist ideals.
Ooh, damn! Now that was shots fired there, Cheshire. Damn.
Before the,
you can pay your quarterbacks and your hockey teams, but you can't play your teachers.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is a good.
It's funny because I'm actually a Washington Capitalist fan.
I was watching some college baseball while we were talking. We were on, Steve, you and I were chatting. I was watching the NBA or the NFL draft. That was a couple weeks back, so don't think that it's been recent. Good job, Chiefs. Way to suck again.
Chiefs.
Look, I just 1 year. Come on, it's been 50 fucking years.
If you win once,
but we've been there. Went to the first one and lost to the Packers. Went to the third one and we beat the Minnesota Vikings prior to the Purple People Eaters. So yeah. But you know what? I have this is a conversation that me as a person who wakes up to ESPN stuff and wakes up to stuff and all the sports and I was even watching golf this weekend, right? Not that I enjoy it, but I was checking to see if Tiger had come back yet. No. And it's a conversation that I don't have, and it's a conversation that they don't have on ESPN either. This conversation is not being had in the sports circles. It's just not. And I have literally, you can go to I have multiple Twitter accounts. Hold on. I have multiple Twitter accounts. My other one's Nathaniel Husker, which is specifically sports. And all we talk about is sports. It's less than 1%. The conversation is not being had, in my opinion, in the place that where it affects people the most.
No, that's a good point to be raised. I mean, I don't have a dog in that fight either because I'm not really big into sports either. But I think this topic for people that are into sports, that's where the conversation really needs to take place, obviously, right? Because they're the ones most affected by it.
To be fair, I don't know if ESPN is going to talk about that because they talk about.
Well, maybe not ESPN,
really
but I mean,
he's right. It's already been decided.
And also because it's not going to make them any money.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like, we already know what we're going to say about this thing. Yeah, it's already been decided by.
Well, it's also not on. It's
They're
not
athletes like shit. I mean, football's a nightmare.
Oh, I know. I have. It's not my fault that I'm addicted to football and I hate it.
It's not my fault.
By the way,
it's not. Blame my fucking parents that I was raised.
Look who graced us with their presence.
You've been indoctrinated into football.
Wait, look who graced us with their presence. S.J. Thomason, Destroyer Extraordinaire, 10-1, 1,001, whatever the hell he is now. I think he lost one, maybe. I don't know. No, he's like still undefeated champion of the debating world. Nicholas Suter, welcome. Just
wait. I had a debate. By the way, and I already said hi to Sexy Nick a second ago.
Sexy Nick? Is that what we're calling him now?
But I had a debate last night where I apparently demoralized somebody, the Epic Christ, the atheist hunter.
Okay, let me say something about this real quick.
I realized what my
I watched the first goddamn 5-6 minutes of that. I gouged my ears out with a pencil and turned that shit off. I could not fucking deal with it. No offense to you, but what the goddamn were you thinking?
I did it well.
That just
What? It was like fucking watching somebody punch puppies.
Oh, I have corgis. Don't do that.
Dude, you're dealing with somebody who's so not in your level, dude.
Listen, don't compare Epichrist to fucking puppies.
That's true. Fair point.
Yeah, he wanted it, right? He was begging for it.
Yeah, okay, that's like saying the rape victim wanted it because what she wore. Come on.
No, he literally he was coming at me.
He was coming at me with mouth open.
But you just went not all rapists there.
Not all rapist.
But no,
you did rape him.
Epic Christ. No, that
was consent. He can't give consent.
Consensual.
It was not.
Get the fuck out of him. We went into the boxing ring together. I MMA'd him. Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't think he's capable of giving consent for that. Whatever the hell that was.
Him. MMAing him is not a coherent.
And what's funny, I don't know if you know this, Nathaniel.
I had him in like multiple arm bars.
But I don't know if you know this, but he is actually a true transphobe, homophobe, bigot.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I'm not. Am I being hyperbolic? I'm not trying to be. But May,
would you with that guy on Twitter? It was the worst.
He went. By the way, he ended up calling me a liar.
Who was that, Jessar?
With Epichrist.
Oh yeah, May. Again, I don't throw around these terms loosely. I really don't. But am I correct to say that if anybody's going to be called homophobic or transphobic, it is that motherfucker?
Yeah, he's pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
And Nick, I'm not trying to take away from. By the way, you already know.
I'm not trying to take away Nick's demolishing of an invalid.
Thank you, dude. You gave me so many. Like, I was walking from our apartment past down past like AT&T Stadium, and I was listening to that the whole time I was walking, and I had like so many mental erections the entire time.
Because I go around telling people all the time how much I destroyed G-Man in a discussion because I'm so proud of that because I picked on G-Man.
But I just wanted to get my own. And by the way, it's on Cyrus the Skeptic channel. If you want to go and watch that, make sure you subscribe to his channel as well. Thank you so much.
Cyrus.
I did well.
Yeah.
Nobody I was reading the comments. It was all like,
I can't hear Nick. He's
Nick, are you talking?
I see him talking, but I don't hear him.
Nick,
I don't see Nick or hear Nick.
Yeah, we can't hear Nick. There you go.
Had the boom off.
Now, see, Nick at least took on somebody I want to say equal caliber, but he at least didn't take on low-hanging fruit. S.J. Thompson is a legit PhD, even though she has a lot of fuckery. Love you, S.J. I really do get along with S.J. I think
nobody understands why
shit.
Or how.
But at least you demolished her on a more equal level of standing of ability. Okay.
Yes.
Not to diminish Nathaniel.
No, you should.
I wouldn't insult Nick that far as to say that they were equal.
Well, I mean,
that's a little. That's stretching a little bit.
Look, I'm not trying to like bring
Nick.
Put him down to her level. I'm more like trying to bring her up to his. Okay.
No, but I wouldn't do that.
No, I sincerely appreciate it. Sirs was great about it. A lot of people have been really nice about it, and I sincerely appreciate that.
Well,
So thank
you
you.
basically show that her sources don't really say what she thinks they say.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, which was, I was challenged, I think, during it or towards the end, to actually prove that claim and to cite the sources. So I put it up on my website, and I've got every one of my claims up on my website. It's and like if that's how far we want to go, that's what we can do. So all that information is up on my website, and I link to it, and I'm probably going to actually do a post on it in a little bit. But it's been a busy couple of days. So
no, I've actually been keeping up with I don't talk to her because I don't talk to.
And Jay's
watch me.
But I have the things that the way that you have handled this, the things you've been saying, the way that very, very, very professional across the board with that. And
Nick knows his shit, man. He's not somebody to be trifled with. I mean, you're going for the big dogs when you call him out, man.
Yeah, you did well before, during, and because I know we were actually talking about that on here after we were like, wait, you're debating SJ on what? Are you serious? And then that was I remember that conversation. You were like, I'm going to be fine.
But I tell you this.
Oh, he was more than fine. The fact that she was listing those papers and Nick was just like, oh, you mean this one?
Yeah, he already had it in hand. Like, he knew ahead of
one?
time. Right? That's the best kind of debate, when you know the opponent's strategy already, right? He came prepared for probably weeks ahead of time, right? But I watched somebody the other day, Gregory, that kid, 12-year-old kid, Gregory, that dude would kick all your guys' asses on any topic. Did you watch that shit? Gregory versus Dr. Well, his name's Dr. Guzman, I think they call it. He's like 12. They're both 12-year-olds, right?
No.
But this
I
kid,
don't agree.
I'm not kidding. This kid, Gregory, was a goddamn genius. He was talking about shit that even I couldn't even, at the top of my head, talk. He was talking about nuclear physics. He was talking about quantum mechanics. He was talking about molecular clocks. He was talking about phylogeny. He was talking about. You guys didn't listen to that?
No, I don't listen to
Does anybody know what I'm referring to? Because this kid, it was on Modern Day Debate,
but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and look,
was he not the smartest person you've ever listened to?
He has a lot of knowledge, or facts, right?
He's regurgitating a lot of shit that people have told him to regurgitate.
But to regurgitate,
I really feel like he doesn't have an original thought in his mind.
Fair enough. Look at at that age, if you could even parrot information, if you at least have rote memorization,
great.
I'm impressed. Most people don't start formulating their own stuff till very later on. We have people in our community that never formulated an idea of their own in their lives.
Josh, good point.
We might have one or two of them in here.
Hey,
I have. Hi, Taylor. Hi, Taylor.
I swear I have an original thought.
Can we throw Taylor? By the way, you've been awfully quiet.
Man.
You guys don't know who Taylor is. I'm going to throw him under the bus a little bit here, but he can take it. He can take it, man, because he says all you guys are wrong. Taylor is a young Earth creationist, Bible loving, almost not a flat earther. He's not a flat earther, so he's not.
Oh, not yet.
Not yet.
I know you. We chatted recently.
We'll give him that anyway.
So he's not wrong. He's just.
I'm ready to throw my hat into this one.
So let's do this. We're kind of done with the whole rationality rule things in the ADA.
Well, I want to stay on it for a little bit. I'm ready to throw my hat in.
He's now the ADA. Okay, but I'm gonna leave you guys with this before we change our topics here. I really like if everybody who watches this video from here in perpetuity to at least express your opinion to the ACA, right? I'm not calling for censorship. Don't stop watching them. I like the Atheist Experience. Love Talk Heathen. I mean, those guys, and don't stop supporting them. That's not the agenda. But tell them what you think. Don't stop, even if they block you, even if they whatever you. Don't stop telling them what you think, because I am sorry. This is one of those things where silence is not going to work. You have a voice, use it. There was an egregious action, whether it be by an atheist or theist or anybody else. Stop with the tribalism. Stop with this narrative. Because I just literally 2 minutes ago had somebody ask me, why are you going after them? Why are you going after atheists? Blah, blah, blah. And I told them it has nothing to do with the fact they're atheists. This is a problem as a ethical issue and a concern about silencing opposition. I don't care where it's from. I don't have an ideological dog in the fight. I never have. But this is something that if we don't stop this kind of actions now, it will get worse and it will affect other groups. And I don't want to see that happen because there are groups out there like TJ's group, Atheist Edge. I don't want to see them go that route, right? If they did, I would call them out for it just as much. Although I love like Jim and TJ. So use your voice. Use your voice, but do so politely. So they can't come back and say, you're trolling. Do like Dr. Gary Edwards. If you guys know who he is, Gary Edwards is a philosopher, PhD in philosophy on Twitter. He wrote about that much, and in that much, he obliterated the ACA, just obliterated them. And he's an atheist, hardcore atheist, right? So just be polite about it, but don't stop telling them what you think, because I'm not.
Steve,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
that was my rant. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It means the world to us. Honestly, it does. And we are really trying to be out there to be a very true neutral platform. And anybody can come on our show or talk to us and say anything they want to say. And we're not going to censor them. We're not going to say that they can't say that or condemn them for saying what they want to say. And I really appreciate that you recognize our commitment to doing that.
I do. No, I mean, and look at, I would not throw people under the bus, but I will call them out when I see something that I don't agree with. I have before. I always will.
Just throw Taylor under the bus.
But as long, but I will support the organizations that I see giving those kind of platforms. This is why it drives me nuts when somebody says, "Why is Steve attacking atheists?" I'm not. I'm supportive of groups like the Atheist Edge, and I'm supportive of groups like Milwaukee Atheists. I'm supportive of groups like Fully Deconverted. And Richard Carey and I bump heads all the fucking time. I'm going bowling with the guy this month. So, I mean, stop saying that I'm against atheists. It's bullshit, man.
Listen, that just means that you're two-faced because you're being friendly with him in person and then calling out.
Yeah. You guys know that Jay Warner Wallace follows me on Twitter?
We took down his book. Actually on in the Atheist Christian Book Club. This was an Atheist Edge thing. We read his book and we did a 7-part series in which we took apart his arguments for the fact that we should trust in the Gospels and we should believe these things because blah blah. Yeah.
Was it the Cold Case Christianity?
Yeah, cold. Yeah, we took Cold Case Christianity, which was weird to us because it was he's saying, "Oh, I'm a person that values rationality and critical thought, and I was an investigator for the police." But yet he had all of these glaring fucking things that were bad in his critical thought,
he is. I'll tell you this: Jay Warner Wallace is actually he was in God's Not Dead too, and so check mark against. But he actually is.
Sorbo, why?
No, that wasn't Sorbo. No. That was Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and also the Black Ghostbuster. I forget his name. Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson.
Yeah. Who, by the way, my partner has met.
Wait. Does that make it racist?
He was the Black Ghostbuster.
He was the Black Ghostbuster.
The first one. Now the current one is she's on SNL. I forget her name too. Gosh, I'm bad with names right now. But he's actually a really nice guy. Jay Warner Wallace is. He's not like a Lee Strobel. He's not like a Frank Turek or something like that. He's a really nice guy. I appreciate his follow. Yeah, so he's not
like
right.
Steve Harvey.
He's factually incorrect. He's practically fucking incorrect. But I mean,
did you guys watch the episode when we had Scott Clifton on from General Hospital and Bold and the Beautiful?
Love that episode.
He was good. He was amazing.
I knew he was gonna be good.
Of course, I knew he was gonna be good. I've been trying to get him on forever. He said ages ago he told me he'd come on.
I'm not taking credit for him being on, but I did tweet him to go on the show.
Well, I've talked to Scott. We've known Scott for quite some time. He's been in the community for years.
Not taking credit, but I'm taking credit.
Go for it. All you.
I want to talk with a young Earth creationist.
Yeah, okay, so we're gonna do this.
The highlight of my.
All right, so Nathaniel, he jumped in. He jumped in the ring. So the rest of us going to give a few minutes to them. I would love to hear Taylor and Nathaniel kind of have at it.
What?
Okay,
Cool.
is this homo?
About young Earth creationism or what?
Yeah.
Wait, I got a question.
Do it. Come on. You can do it.
It's a serious question. What does it take to have the word pastor put in front of your name?
I was going to ask the same thing, but it's a good question, actually.
5 minutes online.
Oh,
she's not kidding. She's not kidding. I have
And a credit card.
a-
Don't forget a credit card.
Yes, and a credit card.
Yeah, a credit card.
Okay.
Yeah, question
I'm
or
not assuming I'm not assuming that's where you got yours. I'm just it's possible.
yeah, I got a diploma in biblical counseling from Patriot Bible College. I also
Patriot
got one-
Bible College.
Yeah.
Bacteriology. Sorry.
Oh wait.
Come on.
I got a diploma in biblical
You
counseling.
guys don't know that's college? You guys does that not recognize? You guys don't know what Bible Patriot University is?
Yeah.
That's where Ken
Patriot
Hovind
School
got
of
his PhD from. People.
I'm sorry.
That's
I
a
hear-
double wide trailer that has no classes, that has no professors. That has,
PhD in leprechaunism.
yeah, all you do is give them money, and they send you a piece of paper saying that you're this. You don't.
We get
Wait, real quick before Nathaniel goes. Taylor, have you ever looked at Patriot Bible College? Have you seen where they're at?
I went to school there. I did correspondence with them.
Yeah,
I did
I was gonna say, it's not a real
correspondence.
campus. How could you gone to school there? It's a double wide trailer.
I know it's a correspondence school.
It's not a
I did
school.
correspondence.
So you didn't
I
go
did
to the
correspondence with them.
school, but
How do
you
you
had
know?
correspondence with them.
All right.
Right,
Well,
so
I'm
he's
a-
asking.
I went to Patriot Bible School. I got a diploma from them.
Have you?
Right, so he's asking. you
To Taylor, he went through a program and
Okay.
he got
For,
legitimate.
2 questions, and Nathaniel, I promise I'll turn over to you. This is I cannot look past this. Come on.
I've never been to Colorado.
No,
I
I
just
understand.
benefit.
Have you seen them? Have you seen their building?
No, I've never even been to Colorado before.
No,
Well,
but
you can go
pictures.
there
We have
and
Google.
I-
Okay,
now.
come on. Have you seen
Yeah.
Google?
Yeah, I've seen it on the internet in the Ken Hovind Slam videos and stuff.
Okay. So you know they're not a real campus, right?
I know it's a trailer on top of a hill somewhere.
Yeah.
With a little sign and stuff.
So one other question.
It's a correspondence school, Steve.
What was the correspondence material like? I'm kind of curious.
It's workbooklets and stuff.
It's workbook. Okay.
Yeah, no. If I'm gonna compare, because I'm in school now. I've been in 2 schools. I took their degree program. I dropped out because I didn't like the KJV bias, even though I am a KJV. So I started with the online school, and yes, there's a little bit. It's a little bit more elementary than
Okay.
the.
All right.
that I'm in now. So
Nathaniel, brother, I love you. He's all yours,
Go ahead.
man. All yours.
By the way, Cheshire, the tweet to you, by the way, because you asked how you did. Have you seen this tweet? It says, I'm not going to say who it was, but it's a tweet, and because she was on the other night, and she said, "How did I do?"
Just do it.
And it
Just- who is
says,
Come on.
"Great, I got to stare at you for 5 hours." Winky face emoji.
Yeah, I already hearted that one.
Yeah, I saw
That's,
it. Yeah.
that's so cute. So I'm actually a former youth pastor. So I actually did work as a youth pastor, but I also studied paleoanthropology in college, and I'm interested, Mr. Taylor. Pardon me for not calling you pastor. I was actually one. I'm interested in your understanding of science. Like just in general, like the scientific method, how we do things, the peer review process, how just like I just want to, because if you truly believe these ideas, I want to know what part of the scientific process took you to your currently held belief.
The scientific process, I have faith.
That's the opposite of the scientific process.
Okay, I'll explain it to you. All right, my brain is a bunch of chemicals that react to each other. And I see the world one way, right? And I see things correlate, right, biblically and in reality, literally. And that the way, the mode of science, I became faithful in the Bible.
Okay, what do you see with reality, especially scientifically, that correlates? And then I go through this young Earth creation, so we're going to do like the history of science here, that correlates scientifically with the Bible.
But as far as young Earth creationism.
Well, yeah, you hold the
nothing, absolutely nothing. All natural miracle.
Well, what I don't think as far as when it comes when you follow, you said the Bible leads you to your understanding of science. What part of the Bible leads you to understand our current reality?
Science. That's not what I said at all. I said I believe the Bible based on my experience in reality, not science.
Okay, so you believe the Bible. So what part of your reality says the Earth is 6,000 years old?
What part of my reality? I don't know whether the world's 6,000. I don't know whether the world's older than I am. I
That's
believe
some
it.
hard solipsism shit. I'll give you that one. Hardcore. I like that, man. That was actually really good philosophy. Thank you
I've
for
got
that.
a quick question, if you don't mind. What is an all-natural miracle?
No natural miracle mean that somebody can do things like we know that water boils at a certain temperature.
Yeah.
Someone can make the water boil at a different temperature, but he can't do something stupid like make the water boil cold because he's limited to his creation.
Are you saying that a miracle?
So,
How do you boil water at a different temperature?
Well, elevation.
Pressure, stuff like that.
Pressure and temperature are directly related for boiling.
Literally what a
you
pressure
can't make the water boil and be cold. It's going to be hot.
It boils at a lower temperature at higher elevation because there's less pressure, right? You have less pressure on the surface. So
yeah,
You actually can boil water.
You can boil water in space.
You can boil it at temperature.
In space where it's cold, water boils.
I know this. But in a sense, like water wouldn't boil here where I am right now. It has to be at the correct temperature where there's a God that can do it at any temperature he wants. But he's not going to boil the water and have it be cold.
Water at negative 34 degrees Celsius.
But I can do that.
Yeah,
I can too.
Water's going to be hot. It's not going to be cold. He's going to boil up to temperature. He'll make cold ass water boil in like half a second, but it's going to be hot.
What I'm assuming is that
Contradict.
are a suspension of the natural order which we understand.
Yeah.
He's just arguing that there are natural laws and that they can't be broken, and
then that makes sense. But where? Well, I don't know. Okay, I guess.
If it's a natural law that's not being broken, how is it a miracle?
Accurate.
That would be a miracle.
The miracle is that
the miracle not being broken.
I think what he's saying is that the miracle is that we have the laws. So the fact that there is, in fact, an ordered universe is the miracle. I think if I don't want to
have an example of
not that
an example of the natural order being circumvented.
Yeah, I'm saying that someone can manipulate what he has here.
That's what I'm saying. I'm asking you, do you have an example of the natural order, like things that we understand as physical laws, being circumvented?
No. Like I have complete faith in this shit. That's why it's a miracle. If I did, it wouldn't be miraculous.
It's a miracle you have faith.
I'm not saying this like hippie trippy, like really vague thing. I'm saying, do you have an example of the natural order, like laws that we understand of physics, being circumvented?
No.
Taylor, can you turn your gain down a bit? You always have this gain. That's
Right, he's
down
not.
at
He's
30.
not. He's saying that it's a natural
You don't need it
miracle,
that high.
that it happened naturally, but God's the one who did it.
Yeah, which there's no way.
Which
There's
is
actually
indistinguishable from no God.
Completely
exactly.
indistinguishable. Yeah.
Yeah, what would it look like if it wasn't a God?
Not a
Is
damn
it-
difference.
Yeah, or we don't know because we have a quantity of to be able to test.
Last time.
It sounds.
Yeah, you have to have faith in this God. You can't.
Well, I don't have faith in anything, so that'll work.
Yeah, that's my point. This is a thing that I don't believe.
Hang on. Before you continue, can you please turn down your gain? It's really
All right, I'm gonna figure out my mic. Hold on. I did this the other day. I gotta change it to the computer mic
picks up
instead of
every
my headphones.
scratching noise and people lose their high pitched hearing. I'm old, and
Steve. So then I guess Steve, I thought he was a YEC. He apparently is not. I don't know that
he is. No, he is.
Is he?
Was he telling you not? Yeah,
he's age.
Patriot Bible University. Come on. Hello.
I'm with you, Steve, but he said that he's not a young Earth creationist.
I've got talks with you.
Creationist?
Well, do you
actually, I think if I remember correctly, I think he's like last Thursdayist something.
Yeah, I mean, which by the way,
that's a day and age creationist.
Yeah.
Which is no different than fucking hard solipsism.
Yeah, I don't see why that's any distinction either. Really.
Hey, is my bike better?
Yes. So how?
No, that's not what I said at all. I literally believe the Bible. I don't.
How old's the Earth, Taylor?
How much of the Bible?
How old's the Earth?
I believe all of the Bible.
Right. How old's the Earth?
I believe
all of the Bible, even the contradictions in the Bible.
Well, hang on.
TJ,
one thing at a time.
How old is the Earth, Taylor?
Huh?
How old?
I can't tell you for sure, but from the biblical narrative, it's much less than
Can you give me a range? Can you give me an estimate?
Yeah, 10,000, 6,000, 7,000.
Thank you.
Okay,
does that work for you? Does that qualify?
All right.
To me, that qualifies.
Yeah, I'm a young Earth. Like, if you want to call me young Earth, I believe the same stuff they do as far as the Bible goes. I don't
This is what I do, people. This is what I do.
Taylor, What leads you to that conclusion? What from the Bible tells you that it's no older than, what do you say, 10,000 years?
Yeah.
Oh, nothing from the Bible tells me that the world's this young. It's just the narrative of the Bible. The God of the Bible is saying, "This is how I created everything, and this is how long it took."
So it's not the Bible. It's just what the Bible says.
The Bible's nowhere telling you that the world is 6,000 years old. The Bible
Correct.
tells you the world was created in 6 days.
It also doesn't say that.
No, but it doesn't say what a day is. It talks about days before the sun exists. So the day doesn't make sense.
God specifically said,
I'm gonna let him talk.
Please, yeah, please.
Go ahead.
For up to hang himself.
God, it says twice that God created the world in 6 days, 6 yom. God says literally that he took the day and divided it from the light, the dark, and named the light Yom and the dark Layla, night. So he has a description of what Yom and Layla is. That is 6 literal days.
No, it's not. The
No, it just means that a day
Yom
isn't
without an
dependent on the
article,
sun. It means the day
It's
is dependent on what
described by
God
God.
decided the day was.
Yom without an article can be just construed as a non-defined or indefinite period of time, not from sun up, some down, or 24 hours, but an indeterminate period of time.
Well, the God of the Bible said it was the light went down and Yom was over. It started when the light came up. So that's an argument against the Bible. Someone saying
he says this before the existence of the sun. This is something that is put into place when there is some sort of a light source that is not the sun, and our days are contingent on the sun.
Yeah.
So without the sun, a day does not mean the same thing as the day means with the sun.
Well, this is when he created the sun. This is on the day he created the sun. It's right here. in
Yeah,
Genesis.
what day was that exactly? This is I have a
which
line of-
Genesis count?
Not the light, but the sun and the moon.
I know. I have this question. I have a line of questioning based on this because I know Genesis fairly well. Also,
He knows what
again,
he's doing. Let him do his thing. Go ahead. You know what you're doing.
What day did Yahweh? Oh, I know Genesis 1 to 50. So whatever chapter you want to get into. What day did God create the sun?
The fourth.
The fourth day. Cool. What day did God create the trees?
The trees?
3, wasn't it?
Steve!
I don't know this shit. I'm guessing.
You're not involved in this conversation,
So
Steve!
what? I'm allowed to throw out. I'm guessing.
I'll let him answer, but then I can read over that.
You can say you're wrong, Steve, or you're right.
I'm going all over the place. Why don't we just say at this point? And then
I'm going to stick with you right here in Genesis 1 because this is like my favorite. This is my favorite part of the Bible.
The hell
My
do
favorite.
I know. I don't read this shit.
My favorite book in the Bible is actually the book of John because it's super Jesus. But my favorite part of the Bible is Genesis because it is such amazing poetry.
Let's go. I want to hear what he has.
Would you agree, Nathaniel? Hang on a second. Would you agree that from an allegorical standpoint, from parable or just metaphorical, whatever it is, that the Jewish traditions from putting these oral traditions down, there was a lot of things you probably get from Genesis if you look at it that way. Would you agree with that? Yeah, you, Nathaniel. Do you think there's some poetry?
Yeah, I think it's fairly obvious that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, as literature, there's something to be said for. This is why I can't stand people that say, "Oh, the Bible." But why do people study the Bible? There's something to be read as far as literature from these stories. I think there's actually things that you can actually glean from it.
I would. This is because
there's wisdom in some of this stuff. Yes.
The story of Genesis, which obviously it's taken very.
Well, we still keep the Odyssey, right?
Oh, I do. Very, very specifically from the Babylonian tales when it comes to Enki and things like that, and even the King of Kings and stuff like that. It's fairly obvious that's what it is,
right?
Yeah, that's the 12th tablet. Yeah. Good job.
I'm not as dumb as they look sometimes.
And also Babel comes from Enki just wanting to fuck with people. But I think it's fairly obvious that the book that the creation story, if you will, besides being taken from other things, is simply an allegory about a generation that was herders at that point, finally settled down into a society. And this was the story about why they settled down even in the desert, next to the Tigris and Euphrates. And it's a story, even when we get into the flood and stuff like that, about floods that happened at a generational type of thing with an ice age. I think it's fairly obvious to see that that's why we also plant crops. And they had to make the reasoning as to why it fucking hurts to give birth. But I wonder about the day thing with the sun not being created and the plants being created first, and Pastor Taylor left. Because that's rather important to me. So if I'm seeing this from a perspective of a young Earth creationist, and by the way, I watched Hovind earlier. Yeah. Hovind was wrong about everything, but from what I watched, he actually won that because he just ran out roughshod through the debate. So Sorry, I'm sorry, Destiny. I love you.
I agree with that.
I
haven't watched it yet. No spoilers. Sweet, I think you have to go. Is that
tough.
what you want to do? Sweet, did you have to go? Sweet.
He didn't push him hard enough.
Sweet wants to like chime in real quick.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I was gonna play devil's advocate to explain the whole day light thing.
Yeah.
Because I come from that background. I used to be, growing up, I was very much.
Who here used to be your young Earth creationist? Who used to be your young Earth creationist here? Anybody?
I guess
I would say that I went through a phase where I entertained the idea that that might be true, but I really didn't for very long, because, I mean, any rationality to any evidence would quickly turn you away from that.
Okay.
Reality doesn't allow you to.
I was never a young Earth creationist, even when I was a theist.
But my point is that with the whole day thing, so I've heard the way we used to rationalize it in church and in school was that light, God created light itself before the sun, and so light itself he allowed to be into the world to start life, and then he created the sun to take over his job of providing that light. And it was a very clean explanation for that, and I hear people say that now and then, and when I hear it, I'm like, oh, nostalgia. But I know you can warp and you can twist any passage to say anything you want it to say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what apologetics is.
I totally agree with that. Matter of fact, I've run that same argument, Sweet, that I'm convinced of this. I really am convinced of this. You can pick one thing or the other side, a diametrically opposite position, and find scriptures to support either one of them of your choice.
Yeah.
On so many different things.
It's just what apologetics is. It's making.
Am I wrong on that, Nathaniel? Am I
no,
incorrect to say that?
They'll just ignore the other side of it. Like people who are Christians that say, oh, we want to love everybody, we have to do charity, we have to accept everybody. That's in there. You can justify that. That's absolutely what the Bible teaches, but the Bible also teaches the opposite.
Yeah, it teaches literal chattel slavery. But no, Pastor Taylor, what is
your masters, even the cool ones?
Yeah.
I was literally trying to explain my point, and we went to fucking what day the trees created with the Bible contradictions, right? So
don't mock me, you dick.
Hey, be nice, Taylor. You're nice to me. You can be nice to everybody else too.
You're right. I'm sorry. You called me Pastor Taylor too. You were polite.
Because I was a former pastor. So
it doesn't say pastor. You're gonna dismiss everything of substance that they say.
You were a former pastor? Does that mean you're a pastor now again?
Jesus.
God damn it, syntax.
Yeah.
Dude, we shouldn't be drinking this early during the day, man.
Wait, that is subjective. I'm talking to a young Earth creationist. I should never start talking to a young Earth creationist until after
I'm gonna get another beer. We're gonna sort this out. But
it's 7:40 p.m. for me.
The trees came before the sun. Okay, as long I agree with you. The trees came up, and then he created the sun.
Okay,
and there was a light. There was a mysterious light on the first day. I agree.
That's okay. That is. It's very that. Okay. Well, all right. Yeah, because I do want to like that's. It's just mysterious. It's like one of those God works mysterious ways things, which is a non-answer, obviously.
Well, where do you get Where do you get mysterious light from? Does it say mysterious light? Or is it just, are you implying that there is some light that is mysterious?
Hang on, I want Taylor to answer, but again, I can answer as devil's advocate whenever you want me to, so I'll wait for that.
Right.
Yeah, it's
put your theist cap on and answer.
Yeah, and I can actually I can answer those questions as well. Being, I was never a young Earth creationist. I never actually realized when my pastor in Kansas City actually one day spoke about the flood. And he said, and then this happened, and then the firmament broke open, and then God split apart the continents and everything. I didn't realize what he was saying at that point. But I had actually heard it one time. I was never a young Earth creationist, but I had heard it one time. It's obvious.
I was never a young Earth creationist, but the closest when I was in Mormon, were talking about the Garden of Eden, and then I found out that the Garden of Eden is supposedly in like Missouri, Jacksonville, Missouri, and I'm like, I'm not sure how that works.
I think it's in Jersey, actually, but
that makes sense, though. I get that. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Jersey.
In Jersey,
yeah. It's at
Are
Eli
you sure it's
Bosnick's
not
house.
Detroit? That land seems pretty cursed.
No, it's at Eli Bosnick's house in Jersey.
Oh, Eli.
He lives in Jersey.
Eli's a good guy.
But,
I disagree with
okay,
him.
so Pastor Taylor, you think the Earth is 6,000 years old, which means that you think that that non-avian dinosaurs lived alongside humans.
I believe the dinosaurs contemporary with humans.
Like not the non-avian version.
What the hell's a non-avian version?
Birds.
Non-birds, did man walk with T-Rex? Did he ride T-Rex like a Flintstone?
Yes, no, I
he did. Okay, he did.
I believe that the Flintstones happened.
So that was a documentary. That's a historical account.
Okay.
5 million years.
I don't believe that birds evolved into dinosaurs evolved into birds and stuff, and then there wasn't any fruit trees.
Even though all the
that anything has evolved from anything.
I have.
You just reject evolution on the whole, or is that just a stipulation that you have?
Well, I reject the evolution I was taught growing up. Yeah.
Okay, so you're just rejecting on the whole.
Okay, rejects science in general. Then that's not an insult. It's just reality. It's also an insult. So then you also don't accept then that we're hominids.
That we're hominids? I don't have a problem with us being hominids. I have a problem with us being descendant of like apes and stuff like that.
That's literally what a hominid is. And we're also not descendant of apes. We are apes.
We're both.
No, I don't believe that.
Do you think?
But okay, well, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, like what is your justification for staying? Now I'm going to ask you for your. Hold on, okay. Well, then that doesn't do anything because the Bible doesn't even mention, as far as I can tell, gorilla or orangutan.
No, but the Bible clearly says that the animals, that the lands, and then man was created on the 6th day by God.
Well, the first chapter does. The second chapter is actually a little bit on that.
There's no chapter that doesn't say that man was not brought up from the dust.
Oh, no, I was talking about the one which we're created first. Okay, so let me get into this then, because I'm actually going to get into some science here. And I feel like it's really important.
Science.
Yeah, science. As much as I love talking about like the resurrection of Jesus, because again, Super Jesus, Book of John, favorite book in the Bible. Seriously though, he's like bitch slapping Jesus.
Like seriously, dude.
That's true.
It is. When we're going to talk about science here, we actually have a reason that we why we actually accept certain things based upon scientific principles, and I know that I think that you understand that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think he does. I think he thinks that science is just a body of knowledge. He doesn't understand that it's a method for determining truth about reality.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand that.
I need to go get my fossils so I can explain this. Okay, so then do you understand why scientists... Yeah, fossils are important in understanding science because we can actually infer things from fossils, which is what we do.
How are the Cambrians?
The Cambrians?
What's your claim?
540 million years.
Is that the current understanding with how old the Cambrians are?
You're talking about Cambrian life prior to the Mesozoic?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yes, as far as I can tell, the Pennsylvanian rock is fairly old. Yes,
it is.
Is that about 500 million years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many times has the Cambrian later been dated using the scientific method?
More times than I've been dated. That's probably.
I'm sorry. You mean how many times has this
I don't know what that actually means.
layer been dated in multiple places?
That's sad.
Yeah. Fuck you.
How many times have they put a date on the Cambrian era?
Every single time that every
single time we've updated our model to update for new facts. That's what's the scientific method.
Every time there's new information, it has been updated.
Like let me give an example if I can real quick. And,
update our model.
Cheshire, look at your DMs real quick. And no, I'm not flirting with her. Sort of. No. Check your DMs. I gotta ask you something. So,
are you sure you're not flirting with me?
No,
Am I gonna be disappointed?
No, got plans tonight.
I'm flirting with you.
Yeah, actually, what Nick does that stays private. When we come with the dating method, right? You have obviously the relative and absolute dating. So when we have a relative method, we'll look at something and say, okay, this rock is in this range, right? It's not an absolute dating method by saying that we're going to date it to the specificity of this actual range, right? So it's a relative dating method. But still, even with the range that we have, when we get a higher specificity of the chronological time, what it's doing is saying, here's what we think it's going to be. This, from this range. Now we know it's this, and now we know it's this.
Yeah,
I can't think of a time where we've gone like this, and all of a sudden we end up so far out with an outlier outside that range. That doesn't happen in science very often, and it certainly hasn't happened with any of the geological structures or stratigraphic structures, as far as I know. If anybody knows anything's any different than that. So this is how the scientific method actually works. It gets more precise within a specific range of where we think it has to possibly be. The model gets better.
Not just the body of knowledge.
Yeah. So I have a question. Do you? Well, I have to ask this, Mr. Taylor. Do you know why? Do you know why we're classified as hominids?
As hominids?
Yes.
I was reading about this the other day. We're hominids based on the split, based on chromosome 2 split, right?
No, that's why.
Homo to pan.
No.
Not quite, but you understand that it has to do with sure DNA, chromosomal traits, but also with phylogenetic traits and things like that, right?
There's phylogeny involved.
Yeah, well, not just that, but also besides phenotypic traits, there's other traits that we talk about. You understand that, right?
No, not really.
I do.
But you understand that is part of how we're going to classify these things, right? Like that's part of the reason why.
It's based on genetics.
That's one. Genetics actually makes this a lot easier. Yeah. Whenever I look back, I'm like, I should have gone into genetics instead of into this stuff.
Right.
But
yeah, no, I don't
genetics is oh man, I'm telling you. We're basically filling all the fucking holes in our history. Genetics is doing a lot more. Genetics is able to make able to do with more predictive power and to even get into like gene editing and stuff more closer to anything that we could do when looking historically. But I have a question. I have a question for you because I want to actually gauge your understanding of the reasons that we are classified as hominids, specifically as Homo, right? Okay, everything is Homo sapiens. I have a question for you. I'm going to get into this. What is your opinion when it comes to science's the scientific understanding of reverse prognathism in Homo sapiens over the course of the past 25,000 years?
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, so why the fuck are you saying we're not apes? You don't even know anything about science.
I don't believe that's science. I want you to convince me that.
You don't even know what prognathism is, but you're saying science is wrong.
It's your definition.
I don't just believe shit that you tell me. I want you to explain that to me. Why would
you have a? Would you agree that you have a flat face?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not at all prognatic.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, prognatism has to do with the snout.
If you tell me that, look, an ape got a flat face and you do too, so you
isn't that crazy? How many other mammals have a lack of prognatism?
Do pugs count? Their
No,
faces are pretty flat.
Pugs do not fucking count.
They do.
If it's just us and the apes, just us and the apes have it. That's why we're so close.
The term ape, however, and so we're on the same page here. The term ape is a group.
So fucking fundamentally easy to understand, though.
It's causal. Like, okay, so like if you just because you have similar traits isn't the reason why you're similar. You have the traits because you're similar.
Yeah.
It's the other way.
Yeah, because we have some more DNA.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I want to make two quick points to Pastor Taylor here, because you make an excellent point. You make an excellent point, which is if someone doesn't explain it to you, maybe you shouldn't believe it. Here's two things about that. The first is, one of the great things about science is that's actually how peer review works, and that's how you can trust science that you haven't necessarily, because there are so many facts, there is no way you could go and learn enough and understand enough to land a man on the moon. Yet we did it. And the reason we did it is because we know how the process works. And once you understand that process, you realize that it's being checked, and you can check any element of it you want at any time. So if there's a part you don't like, you can go check it. It's completely transparent. Now, this process, once you understand how the process works, it becomes very difficult to say that anything that's been accepted in science, even if you don't understand it, is necessarily false. So while you may not agree with that, there is one irrefutable fact, which is, let's assume we've been around for 10,000 years. 10,000 years. In the first 9,700 of them, we didn't accomplish a whole heck of a lot. We did fire, we made rope, we did all right. In the last 350 years, since we understood the scientific method and have applied it, we have accomplished more in that last 350 years than in the 10,000 before that.
Yeah, less than that even.
However many. So if you're I understand that you don't necessarily understand how it works, but if you're going to disagree with it, you should actually learn how it works first and then point out what the specific faults are. And it seems to me you don't understand the theory. And considering the mass amount of evidence, it's not just DNA, it's embryology, it's comparative anatomy, it's a whole bunch of fields that all agree. And they agreed even before the DNA came out.
Yeah, there's a consilience there, as they call it, right? And by the way, the evolutionary theory was a confirmed model long before the fossil record.
Yes. Darwin didn't have access to it.
So, I mean, we knew about evolution. We knew that it had been going on for billions of years.
Why should I believe this is true?
Well, why you should believe it is something that, honestly, you need to go read the stuff. And this is what bugs me, and I mean this with no disrespect. I haven't liked Taylor, but this is what bugs me with young creationism. They're not willing to go do the research themselves. They want to be spoon-fed stuff, but they don't know enough about the topic to understand it when they're being told the answer. So it's like saying, Steve, can you explain to me how to do this differential equation, right? And I going out of my way to show them how to do a basic differential equation, and they say, oh, by the way, you know what? I never even took high school algebra. Okay, you have to do some of the legwork on your own, man.
Yeah.
That stuff wouldn't convince me. They wouldn't convince me. The believers, like you guys, would. If you explain to me, wait. This is science. This is a work of science, and it's right here, and it gets better, right? I remember I used to have a Nokia brick that I could snake, and now
no, that is not a work of science. That is a work of technology. Science is based on, or technology is based on science.
Oh, actually, I
fly to the moon because of technology based on science.
I haven't seen a person go to the moon or even leave Earth's orbit since the 1970s.
Seen a person go to the moon?
Would like to, because we can shoot you over to Red's Rhetoric's channel.
Reds! Call him 3 times and he appears.
A simple Google search would fix that. We haven't gone to the moon or left low Earth orbit since the
70s.
So you're not a flat earther, but you do believe in the firmament, right? Wait, I just want to clarify. You believe in the dome thing, right?
I want to clear this up right once and for all. Okay,
yes, please,
flat earthers.
Please, yes.
Stop. Flat earthers can convince me all day that NASA's lying, but they can't convince me that the Earth is flat. They fall short of that.
Why can't we go to space?
Those two things aren't mutually exclusive.
Okay, but why can't we go to space? Why haven't we put a man in space?
They're claims. They're both claims.
But Taylor, why have we not gone to space?
Why do you not believe one, but believe the other?
I don't know why we can't leave Earth's orbit, but it's not likely that we ever did.
Why can't we?
Why not?
Well, he did say that he hasn't seen anybody go to the moon since '69.
No. Have we been to the moon?
Have we been to the moon? Yeah, that was my.
I don't believe it. No.
Pastor Taylor, could you grab your phone for a sec? Pastor Taylor, grab your phone and just look at it. Does it have your location on there? Does it say where you are on there?
Kind of.
Okay. The way it does that is through something called GPS. The only way GPS could possibly work, is with satellites in space. How does your phone... Or magic. Steve, once again, has corrected the error in my... So there are two possible ways. Either God is directly putting your location into that phone, or it is being triangulated. And the only way to triangulate it across the globe is with satellites. So how is your phone doing that if there is no GPS?
I never. That's a straw man. I didn't say that. I believe in GPS.
Is there a model?
No, it's not, because you said we weren't in space. We put satellites in space.
Oh,
now, otherwise,
satellites are in orbit.
Just got a really good comment that said,
I said, like the lady said,
global, it stands for God.
God positioning system.
In fact, I didn't say. I stated as fact that everyone's been in low Earth orbit ever since the 70s.
Yeah,
it's only postulated that they ever left.
Yeah,
we can prove that they're in low Earth orbit now with GPS satellites. It's the International Space Station.
Yeah, he did specify.
All right, fair enough. We'll give him that. We'll give him that.
Yep. My bad. My bad.
You know, Taylor, what it takes for something to be classified as a mammal?
I believe hair or live birth or something like that.
No,
hey, that's two of them. Hey,
no. Those are things because we're mammals, but there's one condition to be a mammal.
TJ's like on the hunt right now. He's like, let me out this.
Think about this. Mammal. What do you think is the primary? What do you think is a condition to be a mammal?
Lactation?
Okay,
No.
close enough. Give it to him. Just
you got mammary glands. Yeah, both male and female have mammary glands. We give birth to live young, every single one of us, and yes, even you, echidna, and my favorite animal on the entire planet. I love the little things, little duckbill platypus. Some of the favorite little motherfuckers. I tell you what, I gave a whole fucking exposition at the Dallas Fan Expo on why a person's drawing of a platypus was incorrect.
Yeah, but those are monotremes.
Yes, but they're still mammals.
Yes. But they're egg-laying mammals.
We breathe air through, or we breathe through the air, right? And without being in water. Every single mammal does that, right? Even the cetaceans, right? We all do, every single mammal does that. And now there's actually even more as well. Yes, we do have body-wide hair follicles. Notice it says follicles because some of us don't quite have the hair. TJ, you'll join me with this one day, dude. One day you'll just accept
I'm with
it.
you, man.
Let me give you a little pushback, Nathaniel, and I'm not disagreeing with you, obviously. But here's the thing: these are categorical definitions, right? So
no, I know I'm doing it on purpose, though.
But all you have to do is say this: if you meet these criteria, you're considered a mammal. So then you ask Taylor, if you meet this kind of criteria, do you accept that definition of a mammalia? That's it. That's and if he doesn't, that's fine. He doesn't have to.
Well, no, but a mammal.
Well, we're trying to find the place where he disagrees.
Right?
And find the place where he disagrees.
That makes you don't count, Steve. God, Steve. I don't have a problem being a mammal with an ape. Like, me and an ape can both be mammals.
Why does it? So what is the major malfunction there?
I have a problem being related to an ape.
Why do you care then?
Are you reptilian?
Why do you care?
To be honest, I don't care.
Is it bad or incorrect or?
I mean, I'll give Taylor this. I will praise Jesus for boobies. I will give him this. So that is something in his corner. Give him that.
I do have a little bit of a question to maybe clarify. So if you don't, you agree that we can both be mammals, right? You agree with that?
I don't have a problem with us all being mammals. Like, we're mammals. Okay. We're similar.
But can you tell me what the difference is between a human and an ape?
Fucking. Picasso, Rembrandt.
That's not
Rembrandt.
So even if you believe in space and shit and the moon and shit, you got the guys going to the moon.
No, I'm asking you to tell me so that if I'm wrong, I can change my mind.
We're asking you.
Oh, I don't believe that the way that they say DNA works is actually work. I believe that there's no problem with me being 90%.
The way DNA works. So how does DNA work?
On what?
No, but let me explain it.
Yes, please. Educate us.
I don't have
a problem being
90, like you guys say. I don't have a problem being 90% 8, 98.8% 8.
Wait.
60%
this is a binary thing. Either you are an ape or you're not an ape. There's no percentage of apeness. It doesn't work that way.
Error going on.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way, dude.
Let's try to fucking finish this sentence.
I'm 80%.
I can't be 98. I can be 98 genetically similar. 98% genetically similar to an ape, 60% genetically similar to a banana. But saying that that's because these fuckers gave birth to me over time is a stretch. I'm saying that maybe we're all made by the same shit.
What's
you're right. It is. You're right. It's a stretch, but the thing is, that's not our only evidence. And in fact, we had already demonstrated evolution and had a tree of life where we could see what came from what. We had it. It was done, and then reasonably filled in, and then. We found DNA. Now, if DNA had suggested that we came from, say, a platypus, that would completely destroy the entire model. But instead, the DNA just gave us a second complete picture of the tree of life that already matched what we had.
And now, on top of that,
Nick, saying "came from" is a misnomer.
Well, I mean, we ultimately
all life shares a common ancestor.
Right. Ultimately, we agree on that point.
If you go back billions of years, all life shares a fucking common ancestor. All life.
That's
like
everything.
I mean, we agree on
ancestors. We shouldn't be getting bogged down into the semantics of whether or not it was millions of years ago or billions of years ago or whatever. Like, we shouldn't be getting bogged down into those distinctions. The thing that we need to recognize is that people we all share a common ancestor. As far back as you can go. If you go back far enough, it shares. There's a share there. That's what we need to recognize.
I have a question for you, Mr. I'm writing something and I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to ask you a question about it because it actually really gets into the evolutionary theory quite a bit, and I have a question for you. Do you recognize this by any stretch of the imagination?
I don't.
Recognize that?
Algebra.
Yeah, algebra.
Well, it's a little bit more than. Sorry if I don't have it on the screen properly. My pen was working well. This is what's known as the price equation. Do you know what the price equation is?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Taylor?
No.
Okay, the price equation is what we're able to do to understand population genetics. Okay, we put in evolutionary theory. This is actually from 1972, by the way, and it still works today. It provides predictive power. Feel free to Google it. What we're able to do is with the covariates that are measured in the price equation, we're able to see the differences and able to actually make predictions about what type of random mutation will. I've actually explained this in great detail in more than one video. And I can go through the proof like right here if you want me to. I can tell you why it works. We're actually able to put and say if the offspring has one particular set of traits that are more that are more positive traits, if you will, not benign or negative for an environment, even if there are fewer of them, they will more than likely survive longer and they will be able to reproduce at a higher rate. And the price equation specifically states that, and we can use that with predictive power. And we can even predict by judging, and we still do this every single day. Well, not every day, but you know what I mean in science. We're able to say that we can predict that the next generation of pick your, I don't care, plant, animal, doesn't really matter, even fungus, is actually going to have this trait because it's the current most beneficial trait. And we can see this happen at a species level. This is what part of the things that we do with evolution and evolutionary theory, and part of the ways that we can actually see convergent and coevolution and things like this. And this helps us to see population genetics. And this helps us to see change over time, over an incredible amount of time.
Yeah.
And that's also partially in getting back to Luca and even into Lupa, if you will, because the last universal primate ancestor, because we are primates. I think that you could agree that we are primates, just not apes. Yeah, Lupa, last universal primate ancestor. Yeah, it's just a little thing. We have Luca as well. Don't worry, TJ. I'm not going away from Luca. I'm just coming a little bit close. I'm coming back to about 67 million years ago versus 3.2 billion. We can actually use this to make predictions in evolution. If we can use this, and it's not by itself, but to make predictions in population genetics, why should I sit back and say, oh, well, and make this, none of this science stuff is right?
No, you should not. Based on that, you shouldn't. But can you go back in time now and tell me like why the whales jump back in the ocean?
Actually, I can. Yeah.
Why is not a pertinent question? How
we know that
is a more pertinent question.
Yeah, actually, I can. I can look at Pakicetus and tell you very specifically how this happened.
Yeah, we've answered that one.
Jump back in the ocean.
Yeah, why they went back to the ocean? Yeah, we can tell you that. That's actually this is talking. You're talking about biological niches, a change in both salinity of the oceans and as well as the change, and this is one of the more specific ones, in tectonic plate activity. And you're talking about swimming across what was once a very, very small Atlantic Ocean. David, thanks so much. It's good to see you. We can
talk to you later.
Yeah, see you later, guys.
Bye.
And then pack your
and the other thing is, whales have hip bones. So whales actually have a hip bone and a ball and socket joint. So the question is, where did that come from? Why do they have that?
And birth? I don't know.
They don't.
That's
they
the
don't
pelvis
need legs.
bone. The pelvis bone is still awkward and still isn't shaped the way you would expect it to be shaped if it was made the way it was supposed to be initially. But the pelvis bone still does serve a purpose. But the hip bone and the leg and the joint isn't different.
They've actually got a ball and socket joint from a leg. It looks very similar to ours. And by the way, you have a tailbone.
A really good example is if you look at there's a very big difference between something like a whale and something like a fish. Anything that was in the water and was always in the water has a tail that moves like this. Anything that started walking swims like this.
and they still have you can see the pieces from where they came from, like you can in us. You can see the tailbone. You can see where the whales came from. And so we have this in addition to the fact that we can sequence the DNA and prove it that way, in addition to the fact that we've got a fossil record. When you drill a core sample into the ocean, you can actually watch it happen over time. Just pick what time you want to check out. That's how deep you go, and you will actually watch it happen.
And if you take anything that has legs, anything that has knees, any mammal that has knees, and you watch it swim, it's never going to swim side to side. It will always swim up and down somehow, because we're not made, like, it makes no sense for us to move this way, because our bodies just don't move that way. If you go into a pool and you try to swim like this, you're not going to get very far. But if you do this,
I got to start wrapping this up, guys. And I think Taylor's kind of tuned out. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave. You guys can close it up here, but I'm gonna leave Taylor with this. One of the biggest things that actually demonstrates some of the validity and the verticality of what we're talking about is the fact that this shit works. We can actually see something from these things. Young Earth creationism has never been provided anything of any consequence to any science, to any field of any kind at any time. Nothing. Zero. There's no theory that's based upon it. There's no inventions based upon it. There's been nothing that has ever come out of Young Earth creationism. Absolutely freaking nothing. So even if you say, even if you're right, it is useless. And that God that you're believing has created the Earth 6,000 to 8,000 years ago has done fuck all to help humanity get anywhere, because none of that shit actually works. It is almost like it's disingenuous to put forth a narrative where you have all the observations in the world that have a consilience to 4.5 billion years, but for some reason, it's actually 6 to 10 that nothing points to. Zero. Besides what you're looking in Genesis. God's just tricking us
into...
The devil hid the fossils in the ground.
I'm not... That's funny.
Does that make sense, though? I mean, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but that's true, what I just said.
No, yeah. Steve is correct.
We've already talked about it, too, with the Young Earth creationists. Like, you keep lumping me in with those guys. We've already
You
talked
are
about
them.
You are young. I know you don't. I know you don't. I know you don't like Hovind. I know you think Hovind's a con. This is funny. He thinks Hovind's a con man.
Well, he's right.
He is right, but he's still a Young Earth creationist.
And then you try to lump me in with a bunch of guys. We've already talked about it.
I know that.
To be fair, you've made all of the points that they have so far.
What's the difference?
We've made the same argument.
It's a difference without a distinction.
What argument did I
distinction without difference? I'm sorry.
Well, you told us how old you thought the Earth was between 10 and 6,000.
I didn't give you. Hovind has an exact date for how old he thinks the Earth is.
Right, but you told us a range that is still in that range.
6,000, 7,000, 10,000. What's the difference?
That were apes. You told us that you didn't believe that evolutionary theory was even a thing.
No.
You said we haven't been to the moon.
I don't know if that's why you see or not, but that's still the same conspiracy nonsense. The fact, by the way, 6,000 to 10,000 years is a way fuck ton off from billions.
I would also like to point out that we have writing that goes back. So, like, we have documentation that goes back as far as you think the Earth is.
We can see evolution and mainstream Young Earth creation doing the exact same thing. You're pushing an agenda.
No, we cannot. No, we cannot. I am not even going to. I'm going to talk over that. I'm going to talk over the fact that you're going to say that until you just stop trying, because that's not even
Why
close
are
to
Young
the.
Earth creationists pushing an agenda?
They want evolution taken out of schools. You guys want evolution in schools, and you both have an agenda.
One of them is science.
No.
Scientific
We want
agenda.
evolution to be taught as the fact of things that we recognize already.
When
We
people
already recognize these things as facts.
when people want to like teach gravitational theory in school, is that an agenda?
No, I don't have a problem with either being taught in school. If there's somebody desperately trying to get one or the other out, then you know that they have a phobia of that.
No, one of them is.
Do you think that we should have like alchemy in school or things like that, like horoscope?
Hey, I do. Alchemy's cool shit if that's real.
Should we teach the Quran? Should we teach the Quran version in school?
We gotta be charitable.
Pastor, should we teach?
Pastor,
That's a fair question. I want to hear pastors answer that. That's a very fair question.
I have no problem with people teaching Quran, evolution, because nobody really gets into the stuff until they get into college anyway.
That's true.
That
is accurate.
And that's true, but unfortunate.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with that, though?
I mean, we covered it a little bit more in my school, but I'm not in America. So.
You're in Canada. You guys haven't actually pay your teachers.
People here
maybe
in
not in
They could be paid
Ontario
better.
anymore.
They could be paid better. Yeah.
All right. Like I said, we have to wrap this up. To let you guys know, I'm going to be ending this hang. I'm going to be starting another hangout. You guys are welcome to stay, but it's going to be a one-on-one with Chad. If you're still in the live chat there, it's going to be. You're going to hate this, but it's going to be on my favorite subject. I'm not going to say what it is, because you already know what it is. But it's one-on-one. He wants to come talk to me one-on-one and challenge me on my positions.
Have fun.
If somebody wants to stay and kind of moderate that, all for it. But it is going to be more of a one-on-one. I don't want a bunch of people.
I can see.
What's that?
I'll hang out for as long as I can, but when I have to go, I have to go.
Yeah, well, you
Yeah, I'd enjoy that too. So
yeah, you can. Yeah.
I am not going to that. You
There's
guys
certain
have
people
fun.
that will never be
I'm not
denied
even sure what this is
access to
about.
any kind of hangout. I don't care the hell what it is. You have front row tickets. Yeah. I have preferences. What do you want? Fuck me, okay? you judge me really for that?
That's what he wants off of his preferences.
I plead the fifth. Whatever. Don't you judge me, woman.
I'm not judging.
And the other
I'm
thing
just,
and by the way, I was just going to give you a compliment, sort of.
Oh shit!
I've already left you, Steve, for Cheshire. So
by the way, I'm cool with that. I'm totally fucking cool with that. All I said, if you didn't get it on video, it didn't happen. Okay. But Cheshire and I are going to have a call-in thing. I don't know if we're going to do it tomorrow, or maybe next weekend. But we are working on something. It's going to be like Nick and I, because we have Ask a Philosopher, we have Ask a Mathematician. We're going to have Ask a, I don't know what the fuck it is, but we're going to figure out something. But we got to get her some kind of notoriety on the internets. She's been around Twitter for a very long time. Nobody really knew who she was. We kind of kept her in the private part of the
in hiding.
Yeah,
They've been locked me in the basement.
We tried that once. She's a very good escape artist, but we want to give her some exposure.
Videos, but that was mean.
What's that? Well, you have a dungeon though. That's a whole different thing.
I don't. It's just this is up here.
I just wanted to thank Pastor Taylor for talking to us, man. I mean,
Taylor's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks. You definitely displayed
Taylor.
I feel like he's.
I vehemently disagree with a lot of what he says, but he has conversation.
But he definitely displayed iron balls for coming in here with
No, I like Taylor. I like Taylor. Taylor. Here's the thing. I can disagree with Taylor. Hang on. I can disagree with Taylor all day long, but he is what I consider being honest in the locker, even though I think he's fundamentally wrong. But I don't see him really trying to be deliberately dishonest, right?
No.
That's why I'm cool.
And that's what I was trying to get at. So, with what he was saying about Hovind, it's when people can hold their position, they honestly believe it, but they can call out people that back up their position, but they know are doing it dishonestly. That's a mark of a really good person.
Yeah.
So I disagree with you.
I think he's got a good intentions.
The fact that you can do that, I enjoy having conversations with you.
Because
he's the kind of guy whose mind might likely change.
Thank you. That was what I was going to say. Taylor's the kind of person that we want to talk to that might actually later go, shit, you guys have been right all along. Now,
or even if he doesn't believe us about the God thing, maybe he'll believe us about the moon.
Before you guys do your little sign off things and show your shit out, Taylor, what would be the ramifications of you changing your position on this?
You prove the Bible's false.
What? I'm sorry. What?
You could do something like that. Explain to me how people logically landed on the moon.
No. What I'm asking you is, if you found out that we were right, if you found out we've been in the moon, you found out the Earth is billions of years old. Let's say you even go so far to say that there is no God. Let's even go full bore here. How would that affect you? I'm just curious.
If the Bible is wrong, Steve, I don't believe in any other God, so that would make me an atheist right away.
Yeah.
I would have to be convinced another God existed.
Yeah.
Sure, but he's asking how would that affect your life?
Right.
Yeah.
Would you be able to change your opinion?
To my fucking heart. I would just go, look, I got a little bit less time now. Fuck, I have way less time than I thought I do.
Right.
I'm just gonna die and get eaten by maggots instead of going to heaven.
That's a common reaction.
You know what? It's
that's totally fair.
It's an answer though. Come on, let's give him. It's an answer.
I would like
you guys a shit out. Go ahead. Before I end this, TJ, you want to?
Nope.
No, really? Really?
Yeah, that's a weird. That's wow. Really weird.
What? Do you want to promote your channel real quick?
No. Yeah. Go ahead.
You do it. You can do it your own shilling. What the hell? I don't get paid for that shit.
No, I'm waiting for this guy to do stuff. Yeah.
We're ending this. I'm giving you a chance to do a closing. Okay.
He's taking you out. He's telling you to leave.
I'm telling you to take your beer and get the fuck out, like any good host.
All right.
Get the fuck out.
All right, everybody, check out my channel, NES Nuts. Me and my son, we play
right, man.
NES games.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And we do live playthroughs.
Hell yeah.
Gaming school.
It's good shit. Hell yeah.
So NES Nuts, I posted it in the chat.
Atheist Edge. Check it out.
Wait, you guys talking about League of Legends?
Yeah, of course.
1v1 me, bro.
That's like the only game that I play. Ever.
Send me your summoner name. If you're
I don't have the wherewithal to play that game because I can't get into another game. I mean, I've got so many games unfinished.
Starkiller _79.
If that's your actual name, I'm not friending you.
Why not?
Edgelord.
Edgelord.
Right?
You're Edgelord. All right, Cheshire, you got nothing to actually announce yet to get you actually situated.
We do
You
have,
a
we're putting together the Slippery Slope show. If you want to go to there and subscribe to us so that way we can actually get our name in the URL, that would be fantastic.
Slippery
We need to get to
Slope.
100 to be able to do that.
What is that again?
We're looking for a release, the Slippery Slope show. We're looking to trying to get to 100, and the goal is that we should have regular content coming out in September. It's going to be our official launch, and help support us so that way I don't have to leave to go to my real job and I can get out of my basement.
We're there. Thanks, Nate, and Nathaniel Walters, and Nick, and T. Damon. Really appreciate you guys, man. You're talking, and that's all really what it's about. Just having some conversations and stuff, man. Thank you, Steve, for freaking hosting this, man.
That's what I do. Thank you, TJ.
Yeah.
All right,
Praise
maybe
be
you
to
got
the-
you got anything that you want to leave us parting with? Some words of wisdom?
Yeah, I guess I'll show my fuck turfs and fuck true scums and fuck.
I know what those
overly
are now.
offended people.
I had to look that up. I had to look that term up. I swear to God, I was like, that's not a real term.
Oh,
it's a real term.
No, they are. They're terrible. I've been arguing with them. I do actually have a gaming channel that I've kind of neglected, but I'm trying to revive it. It's called Captain Griffin. So that's on YouTube. I've going to put up a Godzilla Nest video at some time in the near future.
Cool.
So I'll be doing Pluto.
Nice. We're there, man.
All right.
Anyone here do retro gaming?
I do a lot of retro gaming, and I do World of Warships mostly.
Check out NES Nuts. Yeah, definitely down
Yeah.
there.
I gotta finish my Witcher 3 one of these days.
I got a question.
The only thing I have time for is poker because I can leave the table anytime I want, and I don't want to get immersed in it. I can just play some cards and then. Okay, see, Damon, what do you got for us?
Hold on. Before you go, man, this is kind of a mission of mine to find out anyone that remembers a game way back when, a long time ago. I was playing on a Tandy 1000EX, if that says anything.
Yeah, I remember Tandy
it's a
1000EX.
game on a 5 1/4 floppy that I had. That
Wow.
a friend gave to me called Rogue.
Rogue was one of the original ASCII
Rogue.
dungeon crawls.
It was just a dungeon crawl game with freaking letters.
Yeah, of course we do.
I've heard of
As
this.
a monster, it was text based.
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, it was
The
a dungeon
best
crawl.
freaking dungeon crawl game that was ever made.
Dude,
Does
I
anybody
used to
else
sell Tandy 1000 EXs. I worked for Radio Shack.
Does anybody
I
else
loved that
remember the
thing.
Tandy Computer Whiz Kids, the comic book?
Oh Jesus, that's right.
That
Wow.
Tandy had the market covered. I don't know what they'd screwed up somewhere down the line because the Tandy 2000 was a beast for the time. I used to do all of our book counting on Tandy 2000. At the end of the day, you do your auditing and close everything out. This was back in the day where you actually had to fill something out and hand them a receipt, right? This is old school stuff. And you type all the receipts in the Tandy 2000. That's how you did your auditing. I was like I said, I've been a store manager for Radio Shack for a long time. That was a good computer for what it was back then. The Tandy Works. What was that package called?
Well, Microsoft Works.
That was amazing for what it did.
So was the
like
Atari
whatever
800.
number it was.
The Atari actually made like working computers. You could run DOS on like not just gaming
Yeah, the
systems.
Atari 400,
The
Atari 800,
Nintendo can
and
hook up to the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
All right, Nathaniel, what do you got for us, buddy?
Come on, man.
Yeah, Susan and I have Divine Disbelief. We're actually on tomorrow night at 7:30 Central Time. So whatever that time zone is for you, you figure it out. We're gonna have the Unlikely Atheist on tomorrow night. We do every single Sunday night. We showcase channels not like this one, Steve, because you already have people that come here and talk. That people might not know about, and we have a lot of fun with that. We go over secular news.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, Steve, you can come and
I'd
watch.
like to get to 10,000 subs. By the way, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but Team Skeptic is going to have a sub drive for me. I'm going to probably go on his channel, and all the people that are in the community, they're going to try to get me to 10K. If you want to participate in that, you don't have to, but you know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
I'm sure I can get all of
this is
my
passive aggressive
3
here.
subs.
You don't have to, but
Nick's like,
Guilt.
yeah.
I think I can find one person for you.
Game.
give me the 10K. What the hell? I can't. Come on, people.
What are you at right now? Last I saw it.
8.3 or something.
Yeah,
8.2.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, well, we're at
Shout out to your channels.
We're at 66. So if you want to come in and subscribe to our show, we have a lot of fun. And if you want, you can also let us know about some kind of things that'll be that are in the news that we might not have seen before our shows, and we'll absolutely give you a shout out if you send us a link and stuff, and we'll put it up on
They cover a lot of news, which is really interesting.
Yeah, things, and not just the things that are, you know, I have a permanent Fox News thing.
Are you going to come on when I do the Mueller report thing? Can we talk about that?
It's not. That's not secular news. But I have Fox News, the religion.
I think it'd be okay with me like coming into that channel and be like, oh yeah, hey, what's up? This guy thinks this thing.
And I put the links in our.
No.
I put all the links to our stuff in our. I didn't do it this past Wednesday. I feel bad because I forgot. But and like more than once to spend like 3 or 4 different Fox News links, and people are like, who the fuck is this red pill? I'm like, no, man. It turns out
red pilling.
Unlike CNN and unlike MSNBC, Fox News has a whole religion section, and it's not just stuff that's completely like against atheism and against secular, and so it's actually. Some actually like, really like nuanced stuff. I know it's real. I'm not telling you a lie.
Go to the channel and find out.
All right. So let's move on here. Nick, you got anything? By the way,
sure.
We got to do more Ask a Philosopher. God, I really love that.
I really missed those. So I was gone for 2 weeks because I was doing nothing but debate prep. That was 2 weeks of reading 18 different studies beginning to end. Thank you. So, but I'm now back into the real world. So I would love to do more of those. Nicholas Lamar Suter, I have 2 books. One was a rebuttal of Atlas Shrugged, but it's actually a novel, but it's a philosophical work. And then there was Confessions of a Sin Eater, that is the memoirs of a prison psychologist. He and I co-wrote that one. And of course, I am also the owner of the Humanist Codex, which is a website for atheist or humanist, any kind of social networking along those lines, and also contains arguments, references, and resources. So that's me.
Good shit, man.
Okay. C. Damon, you got anything you want to promote?
No, I have nothing. I'm a blacksmith, but that's nothing you can do on the internet. So sorry.
So you can make swords.
I can, but I don't.
Nice. Okay. Kali, you got anything? That's not DMT. That's not DMT related this time.
Oh yeah, no, I'm nobody.
Okay.
I mean, fully deconverted. You guys can come over and talk with us and stuff, but I'm nobody.
Okay. Sweet Heathen, you got anything?
Well, my channel, I don't put out any content, but I love being part of these conversations. I love you all, and if you're looking for any fine art needs, I do painting and graphic design. So sweetheathen.com if you're looking for me, and portraits make
do an art collab.
There you go.
Love you too, girl.
Match. There you go.
I'd like to point out we don't just do like YouTubers.
I've seen Cheshire's goods. She's got some. Yeah, I mean.
I want to Cheshire. I am so curious about your art. I was watching earlier that showing people were talking about what you did. I haven't seen it yet. I'm trying to see more.
No spoilers. It's good.
I've enjoyed it, and I'm trying to get her to do some more for the Codex, because we have we try to have original. We do a lot of artwork on the Codex, so I'm trying to she's helping me out.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to get more into that. I've been doing very technical work for a long time, and I'm getting back into the fine art side of it, and I love it. And
we appreciate that.
Support is great. So
you're so fucking awesome.
You're all awesome people. We have, I see. This is what I think is a community thing, right? This is what most of you guys are in the Great Debate community, even though it's on Facebook now. But even not, you're in the extended Great Debate community. But this is what I think a community thing it is. I don't give a crap if you're an atheist, theist, whatever. I want to have conversations, and I think that this was productive. And in fact, you can't convince people to get out of young Earth creationism unless you have people like Tyler that's willing to come in and talk about it, right? I mean, it's effective, and so I appreciate the fact that you have people willing to come in. Because, I mean, it takes balls for, to come in this kind of group and have those discussions. Not everybody can do it, so I give Taylor props for that. And just anybody to have, any online presence. There's people out there that have been in the live chats forever that they've never come to hang out, and I'm not faulting them. But it is difficult to come into these platforms and to express your views. You're going to get shit. You're going to have people disagree with you. You're going to have people be miserable to you, and you have the weight of the world.
It's going to be recorded.
One show.
Yeah, it's recorded for perpetuity, right? Oh, wait, this is recorded? Now I'm having a crisis. Don't tell me that.
No, it is.
I can delete
and by the way,
channel. It's okay.
Taylor, I would appreciate an opportunity at some point with you and I or the other people around. It's fine. I do one-on-one or whatever. Actually talking to you about some of that existential stuff, because as somebody who was a Christian, somebody that was a youth pastor, what it means and what everything could mean in the event that we are wrong about something that's so deeply held. I'd love to have that conversation with you at some point. I just wanted to let you know
that would be really cool. If you do that conversation, please make that a video or something.
Yeah, do that as a video. That would be kind of nice. Matter of fact,
that'd be amazing.
All right, so
I kind of really agree with Nathaniel. It's the most important question we could ask, right? It is. He's so fucking correct. He is.
Are you saying Nathaniel's
We're still live, right? We're still live. Everybody heard that?
It's recorded. This is perpetuity.
That's going to be on. I'm going to put
rendered?
That.
Okay.
That's going to be.
I'm his ringtone whenever TJ calls him.
I'm taking this snip right here, just so you know.
Just mark the time. Time mark. Okay.
And I'm taking this part of it, and I'm going to take this part of the audio, and it's going to be tomorrow during our show's intro. That's all it's going to be. Nathaniel is so right. Nathaniel, you're so right. Nathaniel.
All right, guys. Like I said, you guys are welcome to stay in here. If I can get Chad in here, I'll let you guys know. If you guys want to go watch Non Sequitur Show, they're having a flat Earth discussion again. Watch that. It's going to be my discussion with Chad is going to be recorded anyway, so you can watch it after the fact. It doesn't really matter, but it will be live if you can get him to come in. He wants to have a discussion with me, obviously on atheism and agnosticism. One person can mod it. I could take on most challengers, or some people I will not have a conversation with, but he seems cool. He's been trying to for quite some time. All for it. And again, thank you for watching this, especially for the people that have been standing up for Rationality Rules. I know it's hard to go against the ACA because the good that they've done, but I am proud that people have determined that there are certain things that should not be crossed. There is a freedom of expression. There is these abilities to have these conversations without having vitriol. That we need to continue the dialogue. And when you shut it down, I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, the ACA has extricated themselves from any rational discourse of any kind until they resolve this matter. And I hope that they do. And I hope they issue an apology to Rationality Rules. I hope they rescind their declaration. And if they did, I think that it's going to help them immensely. I really do. I think it's very positive advice to give to them, and I hope they take it on board. And to all the people watching, continue pressing them on it. Right? I really think that your voices are being heard, even if they're telling you don't comment. Right? But anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see. We're going to reset, and we'll probably be back in about 10 minutes. Thanks.